My instant reaction to Trump versus Kamala Harris, the presidential debate. They're still doing closing statements, but I think I've heard enough. I mean, God bless the two candidates, but this is my reaction, what I thought, how I think it impacted the election, and what I think other people thought. So, Dream Rare podcast starts now. Give me a thumbs up for the algorithm if you end up liking this video.
It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? I took notes, so I'm going to go over like 4 or 5 pages of notes that I took of specific things during the debate. But before I do that, I'll say what's up to everybody joining. And also, I'll just give my kind of overarching thought of what I thought of it and then how I think it maybe like impacted the election. Let's see if we got everybody. We got Richard James. Is that Rick James? We got Rick James in the house. Please don't, no shoes on the couch. Al Menderaz said they're both trash. Eddie Smith. All right. So, yeah, I mean, there's 2 different ratings that I have for this debate, right? What did I think? And then what do I think other people thought? Because for me, I already know how Trump and Kamala are. Like, Trump is kind of off the cuff. He likes to lean into his talking points. He has this more like, I'm just going to say what I'm thinking energy. And Kamala is very detailed. Like, she knows exactly what to say, how to say it, but it's all pre-planned. So for me, like, there's nothing Kamala can really say that's going to appeal to me unless I'm like, wow, she's being so real about a topic that I thought she was going to lie about. I like authenticity. That's what's important to me. So, Kamala, everything she does is a talking point. It's like, this like dramatic story in her head that she's just saying over and over and over. So you really feel it. So you want to vote this way. And then the talking points and it doesn't appeal to me, but I think I have to give her a rating of what I think she's capable of. And I don't think she's the most like a talented speaker or anything, but I think personally that Kamala did better than I thought maybe she would. And I think Trump didn't do as good as he could have done. And I just want to show you this real quick. This is not dunking on Trump for those who are going to get mad. Obviously, these don't mean anything, but Trump was ahead before the debate. And these are the electionbettingodds.com. You could just see that they kind of just take an up-to-date pulse on the election. Obviously, it's not 100%. It doesn't mean it's for sure. But, she went up 3%, 3.7%, and Trump is down 3.7%. So it seems like the market, as of now, this is going to change. There might be another debate. There might be a different opportunity. But the market is saying that, Kamala came out victorious in this debate. Now, I want to get into specifics real quick of all the stuff I think about. But once again, it's not necessarily about what you think. I mean, obviously it is for your vote. But it's like, could he have done better? Could she have done better? And what are other people going to think, right? That's kind of how I'm seeing the lens. I like Trump more. I'm voting for Trump. I think he's more authentic. But I've also been over the past couple years, I'm not on Trump's payroll. I'm not somebody that works for organizations like Turning Point that are so tied at the hip that they like have to just pretend like Trump's amazing all the time. I've been, perhaps maybe too critical of Trump at times. So I've seen for a while, and this is not, this is just my overarching theme before I get into the details, which I do like Trump better. When it was Trump versus Biden, they could play it off as like Biden's really old. Like, Biden did so bad during the first debate. His voice was croaking. He looked so bad. Like, he made Trump look like he was 21 years old. And the Democrats came through with their democracy, AKA just throwing out the nominee. And they're like, we gotta get Kamala here. Why? Because Biden was just so old. So Kamala's younger. And now Trump goes from the younger candidate to the older candidate. Trump goes from, the one that was there before, and then Kamala can kind of play it off psychologically. I'm not saying necessarily it works on you, but Kamala could play it off psychologically as, I'm new, I'm different. It's like, how are you new? You're in the administration now. So she could play the perfect role of like, if it's something good, then I'll take credit for it. If it's something bad, I'll distance myself and say I'm so much different than Joe Biden. And then I also think psychologically, like, Republicans like to say that Kamala Harris is just the same as Biden. But then they also like to say that she's more radical and different. So it's kind of hard to pin down who Kamala is, because it's not like the Republicans are all like, oh, she's just like Biden. I think she's almost identical to Joe Biden. I think she's a total puppet. But, other people will say she's going to go even further. So just a little bit of messaging complications there. Let me get into the specifics and then I'll do more overarching stuff. Kamala, the first thing that I took notes on is she talked about Project 2025. And, I know a lot of Republicans and people that really like Trump and that are voting all red. Nobody really talks about Project 2025. Like only Democrats care about Project 2025. It's this genius. And I'm speaking into the strategy. Some people will get mad at this. They just want me to say Trump won, Kamala lost, that blah, blah, blah. This is more in depth of how they do it. Because if you understand how they operate, then you could kind of untangle it, where like they always have these grandiose like moments and themes. So they've made one of their biggest themes over the last couple months, Project 2025, which some group outside of Trump created an agenda that Trump is not a part of, but it's being fed on CNN, ABC, NBC. I saw a flag one time and I was like, is that a Project 2025 flag? How could that, like, nobody cares about this. And then I got up closer and it was like a Democrat flag. It said, we're against Project 2025. Like, Democrats care more about Project 2025 than Republicans, but that's how they work. They condition. They're very smart. Like I'm an authentic person, so I don't like Democrats. I don't like Kamala, and I like Trump more. But I see the genius in their evil strategy, and I don't like it. It doesn't make it good or right. But like even with all the COVID stuff, like they're so geniusly always tying together these brands and thought processes to just make it seem like a thing, and then everybody just goes along with it because it's so well thought out. And I want to say this real quick too, because I'm reading some of the comments and I know everybody has a difference of opinion. Just to be clear before I, continue, I asked on my Facebook page, which is mostly older people. No, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying it's almost all pro-Trump. On my Facebook page, even people that like Trump were saying he could have done better. So and I've seen things rigged against Trump. I mean, he almost got literally shot. He's been lied about. They're throwing court cases at him. I have no problem calling out the corruption against Trump. In my opinion, this debate, I don't feel like it was unnecessarily rigged. They asked Kamala some tough questions. They asked Trump some tough questions. I don't think maybe it wasn't 50-50 exact, but I would say that, Trump could have done better. That's just my opinion. I don't think it was like they were working so hard against him. Sometimes he would just go off on his own course and wouldn't really answer the question, or there were opportunities, in my opinion, that he could have leaned into it. They asked Kamala about fracking. They did other stuff. So if you guys want to frame it as 3 versus 1 and they just overwhelm Trump, this is my opinion as well. Trump is really good at debating Republicans. Trump is really good at playing bully on stage and being like, get out of my way. I'm the man. He's got this real, even against DeSantis and stuff. It was like, get out of my way. You're a dog. I'm the alpha. Go away. He's good at that. Right. And it helps him like that. That's a good energy sometimes. But other times, I think a lot of people have been ignoring, like I was a huge fan of Trump in 20. Thank you for the super chat. I guess I'll read it since it's $20. Trump said Kamala will make Israel disappear in 2 years. Yeah, I sorry I don't want to get distracted, but yeah, I'm going to get to that part later. But anyway, as someone who loved Trump in 2020, 2018, 2019, a lot more than I do now, I still am going to vote for him, but he's been way less impressive over the last couple of years. You put him against Biden, he looks like Michael Jordan. You put him against DeSantis and everybody just trusts Trump more than DeSantis, he's going to steamroll over DeSantis. But the truth is, like, Trump is also really old. Like, when they shifted out Biden, it's very sneaky and dishonest, but like Trump looks incredible next to Biden. He's not really, like, I don't know. Like, there's certain topics where he just starts kind of like going off on, and then he'll get back on track and say something super funny. So I don't mind it, but it's not a strategy that's for everyone. And I want to compare it real quick just to put it in perspective. Bobby Kennedy is now joining the Trump campaign, and I like Trump. Bobby Kennedy's cool. Bobby's making better ads for Trump than Trump is. Like, go watch Bobby Kennedy's pro-Trump ads. They're super smart. They appeal to liberals. They're compassionate yet direct. Like, you can be strong, but also be compassionate. And I'm not saying Trump isn't a compassionate person. I'm just saying the way he acts, I'm fine with it. It doesn't bother me. But there's a way to say certain things that goes hard and you're not being soft, but you can also let people know that you're thoughtful, where Trump he kind of just rambles like a grandpa, where it's not that he's bad or wrong. It's just like there's a more effective way of doing that in order to appeal to other people that people like Bobby Kennedy are way better at doing, in my opinion. But if you like Trump, you're going to think that Trump won, unless you're like, it's not like I think he lost dramatically. I just think that he could have done better, but he also did have some good moments. And Kamala, she maxed out at like what she can do. Like, her ceiling is way lower than Trump. So I think she could have done a lot worse, but she leaned into her fake talking points and sounded good to the people she needed to sound good for. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying she's incredible. It's just, I'm not doing it on a scale of like this and this. It's politics is a game of perception. They're both, if you notice, they both lean into Pennsylvania. You're going to get rid of fracking, says Trump. She says, what are you doing with Ukraine for the Polish people of Pennsylvania? It's because they both know, I need to win Pennsylvania to be the president. So let's try to make them look bad to Pennsylvania. So hopefully you don't get annoyed by my analysis. I know some people are going to be like, oh, you're not doing this or you're not doing that. Someone said, Anomaly, you're soy boying. Go start your own YouTube channel and talk to yourself, because no one cares, bucko. Okay. You're a fan of mine. You're in the comment section. Go start a channel and tell me how much more alpha and cool you are. And no one's going to listen, because you're not as impressive as you think you are in the comment section. I'm just saying, this is not a yell at the camera and work out channel, but I do work out and I do play sports. But I'm just saying, like, I'm being analytical and I'm hitting it from 7 different angles, not like, oh, ABC, go listen to Dan Bongino for that. There's other people that do that. Go for it, buddy. I'm hitting 7 different levels of like what I thought about the debate. It's not just like red versus blue or this versus that. It's, what did I think? What do I think other people thought? What is the peak that Trump can be at? What's the peak that Kamala could be at? Not, did she win the debate? Like, was she honest? Like, did she win the debate? Did she do what she had to do to keep the illusion alive that she was who she's pretending to be? That's what I'm doing. It's not like what I like Trump better. Trump, he's annoys me sometimes, but he's just kind of going with it. He tells way more truth. Kamala, everything's a script. Everything's an acting gig. Everything's like a, she thinks she's like Martin Luther King or something, but obviously she's not, but it's like her ceiling is low because she's so fake, but she's not trying to be authentic. She's trying to convince people that she's authentic. So it's like, I think she did a good job of that, not to me, but to the people that she needed to get it over. Because when you're not being authentic, you could have a way worse debate like Joe Biden did, which is why they pulled him out. So I'm going to get back to my notes and then I'll do more overarching stuff. It all felt fake. Well, it's politics. A lot of it is super fake. Let me get into the actual like substance of it. But substance doesn't always win elections. This is what I'm like, my channel, it's not a dumb channel. It's not for like really dumb people, or maybe it is for dumb people. I don't know, smart, dumb. I don't care who listens, but in general, like, my vote counts as much as the guy who's drooling out of his mouth, who's going to vote for, Kamala because of her hair color or something, like it does. My vote counts just as much as that person. And to be quite clear, in California, your vote doesn't count as much as the person in Pennsylvania or Arizona based on the electorate. So this is a very introspective channel. It's not just about what I think. I'm not the dictator. I don't vote. And it's like, everything goes my way. You got to be persuasive to other people. And I'll tell you what, I got a few different texts, right, from people that I like. One of them that's very pro-Trump that thinks he didn't do as good as he could have done. I got one from my friend who's more progressive leaning. He used to be like in the Bernie camp way longer than I was for years and years and years. And he likes Trump. And I think he's probably going to vote for Trump. He thought that Trump was doing terrible. So if you have 2 people from different politics that are voting for Trump that think he did bad, that means he probably didn't do as good as he could have done, right? Let's look at the debate and see why, in my view. Doesn't mean he lost the election. Doesn't mean it's all over. That's just my opinion, and that seems to be the opinion of a lot of people. Kamala talked about Project 2025. That's this thing that Democrats keep talking about that no Republicans literally care about. Like, they like Trump. They don't care about what these other people are writing in their Project 2025. But Democrats do. She said that Goldman Sachs said that I would fix the economy, and 19 economists. I wonder if one of them was Paul Krugman, because she was like a Nobel laureate who won Nobel Prizes. This one guy, I think his name was Paul Krugman. He invented, or he said and predicted that the internet would be like irrelevant, like the fax machine. So it's like, imagine an economist so bad and someone who has such little foresight. Even when I was 13 years old, I was like, the internet is going to be huge. And this economist who has a Nobel Prize, like, the internet's going to be nothing. How is it going to be nothing, bro? It runs the world. Like, that's that. These are the economists she's talking about, probably. But anyway, she goes, Goldman Sachs said I'm good for the economy. It's a funny part about Kamala Harris, because it's like the right thinks that Kamala people are radical left. Kamala voters, not all of them, but a lot of them are just like, they just hate Trump and they just believe that she's less divisive or whatever. And then you have the kids and the progressive kids that they hate Goldman Sachs. And then Kamala's like, well, Goldman Sachs says I'm going to do this. So I just find politics so funny, because it's like nobody even knows what's going on, because everybody's just like yelling at each other and hating. And it's like, why would she think that Goldman Sachs, like, that's her talking point? Like, Goldman Sachs really agrees with me? It's like, cool, bro. That really appeals to your voters. But also, she mentioned like the Dick Cheney thing. This was a missed opportunity, I think, from Trump. I think he had a lot of moments. I'm not going to say he did nothing good. He did a lot of funny stuff and cool stuff. But with the Dick Cheney thing, like, this is what I wish Trump would have said at one point. He did say this in a roundabout way, and it wasn't terrible. But, you know, Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, you know, like, they all like Kamala Harris now. Trump could have came out and said, and I'm not trying to overly criticize, because listen, Trump's Trump. He's not me, and I'm not telling him to be me, but it's like the fact that all the establishment Republicans and warmongers are now becoming Democrats is the reason that some of my Democrat friends are voting for Trump. Like, like a lot of honest people, like the Jimmy Dores. I'm not saying he's voting for Trump, but the Jimmy Dores, the Glenn Greenwalds, the RFKs, the Tulsi Gabbards, they could see through that. So I feel like Trump didn't lean into that too much. He did mention that I fire a lot of people and they write books, and, you know, like, all these idiots write books every time I fire them. I thought that was funny. Trump is very funny. When he even made Kamala laugh one time. But to lean into that narrative and be like, listen, the establishment is corrupt, and you're bragging about getting vote, like the Cheney family and the McCain family. I'm not saying to be disrespectful, but you know, these are not the most like, this is a good thing that the new Republicans are making the uniparty mad. Someone said in the comments, Trump won. Someone said in the comments, Kamala won. Well, I'm glad everybody agrees here. It's a dictatorship. But jokes aside, they asked about tariffs to Trump, and they said, why didn't you get rid of them? I'm sorry. They asked about tariffs to Trump, and they said, Trump, you know, is tariffs going to increase for Americans? And Trump said, no, it's only going to increase, you know, taxes for China. Here's the thing, and then I'm going to get to the other part of it. Tariffs oftentimes do increase payments for Americans. I know Bryson Gray talks about this a lot on Twitter, and people get mad at him. It's kind of like rigging the free market and making it so people have to buy in other places. But the problem, as a person who tries to buy US made goods, I don't really buy Chinese goods. I don't think I do at all at this moment of my business. But US doesn't make everything. Like, there's a lot of stuff that the US doesn't do. And when you kind of rig the market that way, whether Trump admits it or not, like, tariffs will increase prices for Americans in some way. Not in all categories, but in some. With that being said, I thought this was brilliant from Trump. He said, why didn't you get rid of the tariffs? If they're so bad, they've been there, and you and Biden left them there. To me, that's checkmate. It's like, whether you think tariffs are good or not, there's a debate on that to say, is it good, is it not? But Trump's like, you left them there, which ends that conversation. It's like, yeah, you guys can't shit on Trump if you're literally leaving his tariffs there. You could have took them away day one, which they didn't. Someone said your mic is from China, fool. I was talking about buying stuff for selling. Your name is Woke Black Man. That's interesting. But yeah, I sell products. I sell USA made hats and USA made merchandise. I'm not going to sit and act like I've never bought anything from China. Obviously I have. I don't know where this was made, but I'm saying as a distributor, not as a purchaser. As a purchaser, I bought probably lots of stuff from China. As a seller, as an American business, I try to sell American made goods. But nice try. Going down, Kamala, let me see. My handwriting is so bad. Oh, Kamala brought up the lab leak thing. I thought that was so crazy. Like, I have to say this about Democrats. During the pandemic, they were pushing lockdowns. They were pushing vaccine mandates. They were pushing all sorts of crazy tyranny. And then 2 years later, I remember Gavin Newsom debated Ron DeSantis, and then they flipped the script and they were like, oh, we all did the same thing. We all were just locking down. And it's like, the gaslighting from Democrats on this topic is crazy. And Kamala said, why did Trump, this is what I wrote, I couldn't read it at first. Why did Trump compliment President Xi when he wasn't honest about the lab leak? I lost probably tens of thousands of dollars talking about the possibility of a lab leak. I didn't even say it was real because I can't prove it. But it's like I get my, so much money and resources and stress taken away from me. I wish the stress was taken away, but the stress put on me, the resources taken away because I was early on that topic. And so were millions of people just questioning it. I'm not saying it was true, but and then now the party that was behind the censorship of that and pushing social media companies to censor that, now they're on stage gaslighting us like, oh, Trump, you're too nice to President Xi because you didn't even press him on the lab leak theory. Oh yeah, Kamala's the conspiracy theorist queen now, I don't understand how people don't see this, but that's the thing. And it goes both ways, but especially Democrats nowadays, when you're so biased and you're so obsessed and you have your mind made and you're like, we're winning, blah, 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 we hate them. Like you'll call someone a conspiracy theorist for years because they're suggesting a lab leak theory. And then she'll just be like, yeah, why didn't you question the lab leak theory? And it's like, oh yeah, now you guys believe it. That's just so fascinating. But someone in the comments said Trump got destroyed. Trump had a lot of missed opportunities. This is me reading the room. Most people that I've seen think that Trump didn't do as good as he could have done. It doesn't mean that Kamala is amazing. Everything she says is like pre-planned. But, here's another, before I get to the actual gist of what they said, this is my opinion on Trump. Like in 2017, 2018, and I still want him to win, and I still think he can win, and I still think he's better than Kamala. Trump was really good. He's almost 80 years old now. And the truth is, after COVID, from 2021 to 2024, when you watch Trump interviews, he's not been the same Trump. He's not as bad as Biden. He's still really funny, really sharp, really on it. I'm not saying he's the worst or anything, but that's just kind of how he's been for a long time. People kind of let him off the hook in the Republican Party. They gave him a free primary and he didn't do any debates. Nobody pressed him. And now you put it on a world stage and it's in some places he shined. In other places he flopped and didn't really do what he could have done. But that's been him over the last 2-3 years. I watched Megyn Kelly press him on stuff and it's just he's, he is who he is, but I don't think he's as good of a debater as people think that he is. I think Trump is a good speaker. I think he puts on good rallies. I think he's funny. I think his base likes him. And I think that he did really well in the Theo Vaughn interview. But personally, I think everybody in the Trump sphere, they're just Trump, 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 Trump. They just ran DeSantis off the stage. Get out of here. It's Trump, Trump, Trump. And they're telling themselves that everything he does is great. But to anybody, I'm voting for him in this election, but he's not really the best debater. I think, to be honest, I think DeSantis did way better against Gavin Newsom. I think Trump is good at saying things to people that already agree with him, but he's not the best at being persuasive. I'm not saying RFK is perfect, but there's a way. I'm probably just as bullish on deportations and illegal immigration as Trump. I might even be more than Trump. You would not know it based on how I act, but it's because I have compassion and I know how to make my messaging come across. You could still say it's racist or whatever, and it's not, and I don't care, but I'm just saying there's a way to explain it and be listen, we have to be tough on all this stuff. But I understand where you're coming from. I understand that it's complex for a lot of people and there's a lot of good people. And I know that everybody's not bad, but we got to do this because it's for the security of our country and people are taking advantage of it. Trump is not that guy. For the better, for the worse. Some people love it. Some people hate it. He's just they're eating dogs. They're eating cats. They're eating dogs. I thought that shit was hilarious because it's just funny. I don't care what they say. I'm laughing hysterically. Trump's yelling they're eating dogs. But do you think if you're a swing voter who's not sold on Trump, who doesn't know what's going on with the Haitians and, it's still a developing story because I don't think any of us really know what's going on. But do you think that's the best way to say that? It's hilarious. I don't mind it. But explaining the situation where it's I know there's good people all over the world. However, when you bring in 20,000 people from a place where they do stuff you wouldn't allow in America, their culture might leak into ours and not the good parts of their culture because people got caught eating human beings over there. So you got to make sure who you're bringing and not just bringing anybody. There's a way you could say it that's not, they're eating cats, they're eating dogs, they're eating cats, they're eating your dog, they're eating pets. Like, I'm laughing and I'm just like, bro, I don't mind, but there's got to be a better way to explain that because I know what he's talking about because I follow Republicans. I know what he's talking about because I like memes and I like to laugh at all the messed up jokes on Twitter because the shit's funny. But like the average person who doesn't follow conservative media has no idea what he's even talking about. Like, he just sounds ridiculous, like I know what he's talking about, so I'm laughing. But it's like, I'm not just going to go to like some meeting and tell an inside joke with my boys. Like, this story is not that big yet. Only Republicans know about it. Like, liberals are not onto this story. He's not very articulate when he explains stuff, and it's his best and worst asset, but like, go watch. And I'm saying this with all due respect, go watch RFK's pro-Trump videos where he's endorsing Donald Trump. He knows how to get people to like I'm watching this and I'm like, dude, this is a better ad than Trump's doing for himself. And same with that Nicole Shanahan. She's making better ads for Trump than he can even do for himself. He's a great quarterback. He's great at what he does, but he's not the best debater. He's not the most convincing person. He's definitely funny. But it's good. Like, I think him having RFK is a game changer because, dude, RFK is running incredibly effective, incredibly thoughtful ads to explain articulately and compassionately why Trump's better than Kamala. Trump's just like, they're eating dogs, they're eating cats. I mean, they might be. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, every country doesn't do what America does. So if you start bringing in people from everywhere else unchecked, they're going to just start doing crazy shit. But anyway, let's get to more stuff. Trump called her a Marxist and said her father was a Marxist, and she just laughed like uncomfortably. They brought up abortion, and I think it was going well for Trump. And I don't think he did that bad on this topic, but like, I do know that Democrats really want abortions like really bad. Like, I agree with Trump with the state thing. Like, I think that makes sense. I think that is a middle ground. And this is the problem with Democrats and even establishment Republicans. They shift the Overton window so far towards crazy that even when you go in the middle, they act like you're crazy. It's a genius strategy. They push it, and every time you try to stop the train, they're like, and you're just like, dude, relax, bro. I'm just trying to do like the middle. And they're like, that's not the middle, that's extreme. You're like, no, that's the middle. And then, with the Roe versus Wade, I was tricked and brainwashed as a kid to just think of that. Like, I heard that so many times, like, yo, it's so important, it's so great. And then when Trump overturned it, as an adult, I revisited it and I was like, oh no, that makes sense. The states decide. What's wrong with that? The states decide. Do I have the right to have no income tax because I live in California? No, I got to go move to a state that has no income tax. It's not like I get the income tax of another state and I'm going to move. I'm going to get out of California because it doesn't make sense to run a business here for that long. That's why a lot of people are moving. Like, I've done the math and I'm like, you know what? It's time to go to a state with no income tax. I wish every state had no income tax, but it's not the way it does. So like with abortion, I understand that people want abortion, but if you want abortion so bad that it's your most important talking point, go to a state that has abortion. Just, if you want gun ownership and you want to carry on your hip, go to a state that you can carry on your hip. If you don't want people to carry on their hip, go to a state that they don't. Like, that's the beautiful part about America. You can vote, you could try to change it, but this idea that every state has to have abortions exactly the way Democrats want it, it's actually, that's not the middle ground. The middle ground is, let the states decide. And she said all the states that are putting it on the ballot are voting for abortion. Cool. Well, then that makes Trump seem even more reasonable, because if red states are voting for abortion, then they get abortion. Then Roe versus Wade was never that scary to begin with when he took it away. So me as a person, I get what Trump was saying completely. But man, the talking points that Kamala has, like, she's real, like, she's very cinematic and very like scripted, where it's just like women are bleeding and, like, she loves to tell this like story. I mean, it's the same way as Trump, where he'll be like, they're eating dogs, or like the illegals are taking over. And it's like, she does the same thing with abortion, where she just like paints this like story of like women getting raped and this and that. And it's like, that's such a small percentage of what's really going on. But And I think Trump said the governor of West Virginia, but he meant Virginia. But I think he corrected himself later in it, and they're like, oh, he never said that. And it's like, I don't know. He kind of did, though. Like, if you listen to Ralph Northam, like, he kind of did say, we'll resuscitate the baby. We'll resuscitate the baby, and then we'll make a decision. Are you going to kill the baby? Like, what? So I could talk about this all day, but like, my opinion on abortion is you have to draw a line somewhere, and Democrats are too fake to draw a line. Same thing with trans sports or what they should do to children. They're always like, I don't know where to draw a line. You got to draw a line. No, you don't want to draw a line, with a baby. Okay. So they're like, oh, we don't do late term abortions. And it's like, you kind of do, though. You kind of do. So I don't think Trump came across that bad at that point, but there's so many Democrat women that have been brainwashed into just wanting abortion so bad. It's like, why don't you want a family and children? I mean, like, obviously I don't want a baby out of wedlock, but you could, there's a thing called a dingling and a thing called an open out of a JJ, and you put the dingling in the vajayjay, and you have a kid. So if you don't want the kid, you don't put the dingling in the vajayjay, and like, that's the best way to not have one of those. And I'm not trying to be like crass about it, but all these things that they're doing to our society, like they have birth control and this and that, and it's like, oh yeah, like, now you're not ovulating, now you're doing this, now you can put this thing in your, it's like, or you could just be healthy and not do any of that and just not have sex. Like, I know that's the harder route, but it's like all these diet pills and Ozempic, it's like, oh, Ozempic, it might do this, but it might do this. Or you could just stop eating for freaking 5 weeks and work out 3 times a day or 1 time a day instead of 0. Like, yeah, you could do that, but like, that's the dirty, I would say costly route to getting something unnaturally. It's the same thing with birth control, abortion, and all that stuff. I'm not telling people what to and what to not do, but I think we should be telling our people to, be, I don't know. It would be like, oh, if you're really depressed all the time, just take pills 7 days a week. Like, is that good advice to give a kid? You don't want to tell them natural ways to do it first. It's a little crazy, but once again, it's not my opinion. It's like, what do people think? And I know that a lot of Democrats, like, they really want abortion really bad. And I think it shows the power of the media in America, because in other countries, they have a different Overton window. Like, America's pro-abortion side is more extreme than most of the world's pro-abortion side. Like, even Bill Mayer pointed out, like, different European countries and their abortion, and in America, like, our Overton window is so, like, we're like, oh, it's so extreme to not want that. It's like, most of the world doesn't agree with you, but I understand why people want certain things. And I think Kamala, it's not about what I think. I'm not her target audience. Did she do what she had to do on that abortion question? Absolutely. She said everything she had to say. She nailed the talking points. She nailed the, making it seem like it was some documentary, like, produced by Michael Bay, like explosions going off. She's just painting this detailed picture of all this stuff. Like, that's what she needed to do. So it's like, I feel like she got the job done there for her base and for her whoever. Let me see. Kamala said she, like, is pro border security, and she did so much for border security. If I were Trump's advisor, not to be a know-it-all, I know everyone's like, oh, everybody has an opinion. It's like, yeah, but this is just my channel, so I'm going to say it. I'm not trying to be overly aggressive with it. All Trump has to say on the border, I mean, he knows some of the talking points, but he just has to say, everyone knows I'm the border guy. Like, imagine if he just said that. Like, everyone knows I'm the border guy. I've been saying build a wall and secure our border for 10 years, and you guys are calling me racist, sexist, misogynistic, and homophobic, and xenophobic, and anti-Semitic, and climate denier, and anti-vax. Like, they've thrown the kitchen sink at the guy. And he's like, and now, after calling me racist for 10 years, you're acting like you're the border? Like, who in their right mind believes that Kamala's the border person? Like, if you really want a border, you're voting for Trump. Like, is there even a single person that's like, I really want to secure the border? That's my number one issue. Okay, who are you voting for? Kamala. Why? Oh, because she said she secured the border like 6 months ago. It's like, no one believes, even her own base doesn't believe that. So it's like, that's all you really got to say there. It's like, yeah, of course there's criminals and stuff coming across. This is my perspective because I know what Trump's talking about, and I don't mind the rhetoric. Like, I get what he's talking about. There's way too much illegal immigration happening. They're just bringing refugees everywhere. Like, it's too much. They're doing way too much. So it doesn't bother me, but outside looking in, I think he could have done better on that topic. I've heard him do better on that topic, but he just kind of seemed like he was like yelling the whole time. He's like, oh, they're doing this, they're taking over. And it's like, He's not explaining himself. You got to explain yourself, because I do news for a living. I know all this stuff because my job is to pay attention to it and report on it. So I know everything he's talking about. The average person watching the debate, unless you watch Fox News, no one knows what you're talking about. Like maybe if they watch Young Turks and they covered the Aurora, apartment complex takeover, maybe then they know it. But like most Democrats and moderates, they don't know what you're talking about. So I feel like, he could have done a better job explaining what he meant. Like he was just like, and it's like the meme of like Charlie from, someone said they are eating people's pets. I'm not saying they're not. Like I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't doubt it. But I'm just saying, even if that were true, you got to explain it to the people who don't know that there's migrants from another country where they eat people and animals. Now they're eating people, or they're eating animals in America. Explain that. You can't just yell that they're eating dogs and cats, and like 70% of the people are going to be like, what the are you talking about? Like I get what you're saying, but this is, and I'm not trying to brag, but more be like introspective on why I've been successful. I could say it's because I'm awesome, but a lot of the reason I've been successful is because I'm always being strategic. Like I'm not talking to myself. I mean, I kind of am talking to myself, but there's 1,600 people watching this. I know what I think. This is why I stopped tweeting on Twitter. I know what I think, and I don't feel like arguing with people. I feel like doing live streams and videos. I don't feel like text arguing. People I know get mad at me, blah, blah, blah. I'm tired of that shit, right? I know what I think. You know what I think. I don't feel like talking to you. It's not worth it. I don't care. It's not part of my business model anymore. I'll lose thousands of dollars on Twitter to just not deal with people. With that being said, the reason I got 1 billion views, the reasons I have millions of followers, it's not just because I'm so special. It's because I've always thought out, I'm not talking to myself, or else there's no point of making this video. Let me get to people that don't understand. Yeah, I want the people that agree with me to like me, but I also want the people that don't know what I'm talking about to understand what I'm talking about. And then I want the people that never heard what I'm talking about to like me. I mean, all the time on Instagram, I got leftists following me. I mean, it's mostly Republicans, but it's like, you could ask some of these socialist kids, they don't hate Anomaly because I'm not lying and I'm not yelling at them. And it's like, maybe some of them hate me, but it is what it is. It's just like, there's a way to get your message across and be thoughtful and concise and explain it. And then there's a way to just yell it as if you're talking to yourself, and then nobody knows what you're talking about. And a lot of people don't like it. Nobody's ever going to like you. Not everyone's going to, but what are you doing it for? And for this debate, Trump is not at a Trump rally. Trump is not at a donor meeting. Trump is in front of the world trying to get people to vote for him. So it's like, you got to think about these things. I don't think he did a horrible job. I just think he could have done better. But I've seen who Trump has been over the last 4 years, and I don't think he's as great as his base thinks he is. I think he's better than Kamala. I think he's one of the most legendary Americans ever. I think he's hilarious. I think he's incredible for his age, and he hasn't lost a step. And I'm exhausted after doing a stream, and he seems like he's not tired. I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't think he's as good as people think he is. So I'm not shocked at the results. Like, I was hoping he did better, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like it could have been better. But him and Kamala are going for different things. Kamala is not going for authenticity. She's going for nail the talking points, stick to the script, don't look like Joe Biden, and she did that. Kamala Harris, they talked about the rallies, and I saw some people online where they were like, oh, Trump took the rally bait. I thought that part was funny. I mean, that maybe other people didn't like it, but like when they were like, oh, he loves talking about his rallies. Like if you just bring up rally, Trump's like, I got the best, the biggest. But they talked about something about like, oh, Kamala said, people leave your rally early because they're so bored. Which, dude, Trump supporters love Trump. Like, I don't know about leaving the rally that early. Like people who go to Trump rallies, like maybe some leave, but he's got pretty big rallies. Like you could talk shit all you want, but Trump is the rally king. But then Trump goes, nobody has to leave your rally because nobody's there in the first place because you suck, basically. I thought that shit was hilarious. I don't know. Some people were like, oh, he took the bait. I'm like, I don't know. To me, that was one of the better moments. But I don't know if everyone else saw it that way, but I thought that was like a brilliant comedic. Like, I think even Kamala started laughing at that part where it's like, dude, when you make a joke so funny that even your opponent laughs, to me, that's kind of a W. Oh, everybody leaves your rallies. Nobody has to leave your rallies because no one's there in the first place. Dude, come on. That's top tier comedy. Trump is funny. I like that. Yeah, I have the dogs and the cats. Listen, they're eating cats. They're eating dogs. They're eating pets. They're eating hot dogs. They're making dogs into hot dogs and they're putting them in buns and eating dogs. No, I mean, they might literally be eating people's pets, though. I don't know. There's some savages out there, but let's see. I can't do. My handwriting is so bad. I should have really thought about this. I was scribbling. Like, I always have bad handwriting, but for some reason, I was just like, fuck it. I was like, I'm not really trying to do it, so I got to skip that part. They talked about Kamala talked about how there's so many people that talk shit about Trump. This was another moment I thought was good for Trump. She goes, all these people who left your campaign, they say this and this person said that. And Trump says, you don't fire anybody. He's like, look at what happened in Afghanistan. It was terrible. And why did you not fire anybody? And he's like, all these losers that I fire, write a book about it. I thought that was funny. Like, I was like, I get what he's saying. Like, yeah, like he, people don't like him. They write books, they talk shit, and Kamala doesn't fire anybody. I get what he's saying. The translation of it, like, if people don't understand what Trump is saying for some reason, it's like the establishment, oftentimes there's no checks and balances. Like, at the end of the day, some of the stuff that they've done, they should get fired. Like, you got to think about some of the wars they've started, the lies they promoted. And here's what they do. I know a lot of my audience probably knows this, but it's like, say you lie us into a war. Like, let's just say the Afghanistan or the Iraq war, okay? Dick Cheney, Netanyahu, what was that guy's name that worked in like George Bush's administration? Colin Powell. You had all these characters saying this stuff. The New York Times, blah, 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 probably Fox. I don't know. But they're telling you this narrative about this and the weapons of mass destructions and babies in incubators and all these things, right? And it's like, dude, like emotions, craziness. We got to go to war. Say 15 years later, people say, oh, well, the babies in incubators, I don't know if that was a thing. Like, I forget what country that was in. Maybe it was in Iraq, but you could look up that story. And I believe even mainstream media is now saying the babies in incubators story was not a true story. The weapons of mass destruction, people still argue over that. But the truth is, like, the Uniparty wants to start a war with Iran and they want to invade countries. And a lot of it has to do with our relationship with Israel. And it is what it is. But at the end of the day, it's like, if they come back 15 years later and they say, yeah, we lied, but like, we already got what we wanted. It doesn't matter that they lied. Who gets held accountable? Nobody. Nothing happens. And it's the same thing with the Hunter Biden laptop story. All of these intelligence community officials that came out and said this and that and this and that. It's like, I can't say for sure, but I think they all knew it's not about whether the Hunter Biden laptop's real or not. They want Trump to lose the election, so they'll come out and sabotage him. And then afterwards, Mark Zuckerberg says, my bad. That was a real story. My bad. I shouldn't have censored it. Well, the election's over. So you changed the course of an election with your censorship. Now on YouTube, excuse my rant, but not excuse my rant because it's awesome and true and necessary. But, YouTube is now rigging algorithms to not show kids fitness videos. And it doesn't go against their policy, but they're like, we don't want kids to see fitness videos. Why? Because they say they don't want kids to feel bad about themselves. How many millions of kids now are going to stay fat because you're not showing them fitness videos? There's the other side of the equation. Yeah, you might save a few lives because people feel good about themselves because they're looking at other fatties or Teletubbies or whatever you're going to throw in front of them. But in general, it's like, do you think about playing God with the algorithm if you don't show fitness content to kids because you're trying to protect them from the fitness content when kids have obesity and chronic illnesses and issues in this country like they never did before? Obese kids were very rare 50 years ago. As RFK goes, he's like, they would have been in the circus. And I was like, oh, dang. But yeah, probably. Anyway, these are the games that they play. They rig these things. They ruin people's lives. And then they just go, oh, yeah, I guess we did that. But it's too late. We already did it. So with that being said, I don't know who understands politics that watches the debate, like people that are on the fence that might not like Trump or whatever. But the truth is, like, he could have hired better people, sure. But the fact that Kamala Harris has no people talking bad about her and her administration, they're all doing it behind the scenes. Like he said, Biden probably hates her. A lot of people probably hate Kamala Harris, but everything they do is about deception and power. It's not about liking her or being honest. Like, she knows she's not being honest. Like, when Trump said something about like race, she probably thought it was funny, but she was like, she was like, I can't imagine, like, it's this huge, like, grandiose, like, she's like a little play kid. She's like, I can't imagine the racism here. Like, it's like, all right, calm down. You think she thinks she's in like Les Miserables or something. It's like, relax, lady. Or Hamilton or something. She thinks she's the star of the show. It's like deep down inside, she's probably thinking like, okay, that's kind of funny and it's not that important. But to the public, it's like, what? Yeah, we know, lady. So everything's an act. That's what the Democrats do. But sorry, I got a little off topic there. It's not good that they never fire people. People in government never, like, they're like, oh yeah, we screwed everything up, but like, we know better than you. And it's like, maybe you're not that good at your job though. Like, I've done journalism. I put my money where my mouth is. I think journalists suck. I'm going to do a better job. And I did do a better job with ease. And the people that I'm running laps around then try to use their government connections and media connections to take me out of the free market because they can't compete with me. This is who these people are. Not all. I'm sure there's some good people in the deep state that keep the country floating, but a lot of these people, they think that they're so much better than you. Now, I work for Washington Post. I'm a real journalist. Bro, you fucking suck. You suck at your job. You suck. You're not a good writer. You're not funny. You're not interesting. You're not honest. You're like a complete pawn. You don't have any, like, you're nothing. You're not that good. But then they just keep their position, never get rid of anybody, and then try to stop everyone from getting in. That's a little bit of a dynamic of what's going on there. But Trump doesn't explain it that way, he probably shouldn't, because that was probably wouldn't go over well with the nation anyway. They were talking about crime in this country, and they said the ABC puppets or whatever their names were. I don't like. This is how not stars these people are. Do you guys even remember their names? I mean, I remember the one guy's name a little bit, but not enough to even recall. These people are like it's like puppet number 1, puppet number 2, and puppet number 3. I'm not saying they did a terrible job. Like, they did a decent debate. I don't think they were that biased as much as people in the comments, but they're like they're just nothings. But they said that the FBI says that crime is going down in this country. Maybe that's true. Maybe what Trump said is right, that they're rigging the stats, but it's like, do you feel more safe in this country than you did like 10 years ago? I know, like, in Los Angeles, right? There's case studies that I have. I lived in Los Angeles for 7 or 8 years. Okay. I used to go to the gym. I noticed that after 5 or 6 years, now there's a security in the subway. Like, it was Hollywood, so it's kind of a weird place, but I felt safe there. I mean, it probably wasn't safe, but I'm, in my 20s. I don't care. I'm not afraid. And then I'm like, oh, there's security. Like, security started popping up everywhere. It's not because they wanted it. They needed it. Like, tents, I used to walk to work. I had no car for 7 years. I took the bus. I took the train. I walked. Streets I used to walk down, they're not safe anymore. They're filled with trash. I move. I see robberies increase. I see violent crime increase. I see theft increase. I hear stories of people getting their Rolexes stolen. I heard multiple stories of people getting their house invaded by foreign gangs from Chile that are doing strategic break-ins and stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I don't know where crime's going down, but it's nowhere I've seen. Like, the country seems to be getting way less safe, but they'll always tell you, like, it's safer than ever. Like, it'll be like Mad Max in this country in 10 years. I'm not saying it's really going to be this way, but like, say it was Mad Max in this country. Everybody knows it sucks everywhere. And they'll be like, it's actually better than it's ever been. It's like the economy's better than it's ever been. But I'm going to fix the economy. Why would you fix it? It's better. Well, because I'm Joe Biden, but I'm not Joe Biden. I don't believe for a second that crime is down. And I know in certain liberal states, they don't want to report race statistics because their race statistics are astronomical. Like, if you do the math of like what percentage of the population is this race and what percentage of the violent crimes are this race, it's astronomical. And they actually think that the facts and the statistics are racist. So now they're in some cities, they're not doing that. So, does the FBI even keep statistics anymore? Like, it's a really sad world when math and science and basic stuff like that isn't even allowed to be told. I mean, this is already happening with other topics. Like if you have pattern recognition, they just like, they're like, "Dude, you're being so hateful." You're like, AKA my IQ's not 7 and I'm adding up just the math, and just talking about it. It's like, yeah, but you can't say it. Okay, then stop everyone from talking about everything and see if it goes away. Oh, it's not going away because it is what it is. Like if you can't report, like if you're not going to report the race of crimes, then stop reporting it completely. Then it's not a statistic we have. But if you're going to keep those statistics, you have to keep the statistics or else they're not really statistics. Like what? Obviously, they're not all real and true, but a great book to read. It's very short for those who don't want to spend that much time reading. Understandable in this world and our attention spans. It's called How to Lie with Statistics. It's an easy book. You can get through it in a day, and it details from a math statistician, if that's even what they're called, all the ways that the cigarette companies lie with statistics, big pharma lies with statistics, the government lies with statistics. This guy wrote this book like 100 years ago, and it still perfectly lines up with reality. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, Kamala said that Trump might weaponize the police state against his enemies. And I don't think I know he said something about this, and I think he could have done better, but I've talked to so many people about this. It's like the Democrats have already done that. They're like, what if Trump does what we're doing now? It's like, you're doing that. Like you're going after him. And to Trump's credit, even though this annoys me, he campaigned on going after all these people and he never did. He tried to play it safe and like, I don't want to ruin democracy or whatever. I'm not going to go after Hillary. They're probably still friends or something. Who knows? That's probably all a show. But in general, he's like, I'm going to lock her up and arrest her and do all this. Trump never did that, to his own detriment, probably. Like he didn't do any of that stuff. He didn't go after Fauci. He didn't do any, like he was working with Fauci. And then he gets out and then they throw 1,000 court cases at him and they got E. Jean Carroll on CNN, like, talking to Anderson Cooper. And it's like, well, isn't that what you didn't want Trump to do? And now you're saying that Trump might do what you did. It's just like, it's crazy. But I don't know. It's hard for me to tell like who still believes that stuff. It's the number's definitely not 0, but I don't know. I'm past that point. The debaters, and this is where I disagree with people. Okay, I've seen debates where the COVID debate was super rigged, way more rigged than this. Like the first question in the COVID debate when it was Trump, it was like, so millions of people are dying on your watch and death and dying. And how are you killing all these? Like that was the first question. It was like, I know this is going to piss off MAGA and Republicans that aren't honest. This debate was not that rigged. It wasn't that rigged. Their questions were not that bad. They're like, oh, Kamala probably knew the answers in beforehand. Trump knew the answers beforehand because they're all the answers that they ask all the time. There were no, like, you know what I'm saying? They asked them about everything. Of course, they're going to ask about abortion. Of course, they're going to act about January 6th. It doesn't mean it's necessarily completely fair, but it's like they're asking about this. They're asking about that. They're asking about the economy. It wasn't that rigged of a debate, in my opinion. Trump just could have done better. It wasn't 50-50 perfect, but by far, this wasn't even close to the most rigged debate. It was super fair. And I still think ABC sucks. I don't trust them at all. It was a very moderately fair debate. And they asked Kamala about, fracking and all her policy changes on guns and stuff. And that was a tough question for Kamala. They're like, you said you're pro-fracking. You used to say you're anti-fracking. You said you're not going to do gun buybacks. You used to say you're going to do gun buybacks. Like, what's your thing? It wasn't a bad debate. It's just Trump could have done better. But anyway, I think that the Democrats don't want to lose the kids that believe everything they're saying. Like when the Democrats lie about stuff, their problem is they don't realize that people completely agree with them and freak out and become insane. Like for COVID, if you believed what the Democrats were saying in March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, then what they did 2 years later, it doesn't make any sense because they're telling you, these are the numbers, these are the cases, and we need to lock you in your house and force mask you and close your gym and destroy your business and implode the economy. We have to do all this in order to save democracy and fight the virus. Obviously, I never believed them, so it doesn't apply to me. But the Democrats who believe that, then all of a sudden, the Democrats, like after 2 years, they're destroying everything. The numbers aren't going anywhere because it never was going to be like what they said. And then they start opening things up. And then the actual Democrats who actually believe them, they start freaking out. Why are you opening up? The cases are this many. The deaths are still high. Why are you opening up the country? The truth is, I'm sorry, but they, excuse my language, they never fucking believed what they said in the first place. They never believed what they told you. They just said it to accomplish a certain means. And then as soon as they got their means and it was starting to hurt them politically and socially, they took it away because they weren't meaning what they said. So, I find the environmentalism narrative the same exact way. I feel like I'm a true environmentalist. Clean the air, clean the water, clean the oceans. The earth is alive. It's beautiful. Mother Nature is real. I'm an environmentalist. These younger kids, they actually think you can do all of these things where it's like, oh, do this, ban fracking, ban this. I know because I fell into it in my 20s. But like once I started like researching and thinking about it and doing all this stuff, it's like I still am not a huge fan of fracking because the issue, not just with fracking, but some means of production is like how, like, where are you doing it? If you're doing certain things in neighborhoods and you have certain oil spills, it's devastating. We had an oil spill in the Orange County oceans, and it sucks, and it's terrible, and it's evil, and and it makes me think, like, I'm not against oil, but do they have to do oil here? They have to drill right there, and they have to do it so stupidly that they screw up and let hundreds of thousands of oil go. Like, there's got to be a better way. So it's like, I'm not like, oh, just drill and screw up earth. I don't even agree with a lot of Republicans on some of this stuff. But at the same time, it's like the Democrats literally think they're going to change the climate of the planet with the CO2. And it's like, good luck. You know what I'm saying? And also, CO2 is sucked up by trees. Go plant a lot of trees. Why do we have these big, stupid things that are like, oh, we're sucking out the CO2? Harvard scientists created these huge machines that are just going to mass suck CO2 out of the air. Okay, that's a really dumb way to, like, that's not good for Mother Nature. You're building this disgusting, weird, like, mechanical thing instead of just planting trees. Like, I don't, but, I understand, like, they think, like, Democrats want to, in my view, shift the energy policy into a certain direction for a certain agenda. Their voters think they're going to do what they're not going to do. So then they're stuck in a rock and a hard place. Like, Kamala Harris wants to get the voters from, average 40, 50-year-old Democrats who know that, like, their house is going to go away if they lose their fracking job. But then they also want to get the kids who believe that they're going to actually cut out all fracking and do everything this way. So it's like, why are you all these people? Because it's a politician. They say whatever they have to say at the time to make sense. Kamala Harris will be like, yeah, like, it's so messed up what they did to George Floyd. Let's bail people out of jail. And then when she's on stage and she needs to win Pennsylvania, now all of a sudden she's a cop again. Like, she was a top prosecutor before that. It's like she's whoever she's got to be for the time that she's got to do it. Yeah, but, like, I guess people fall for it, or you vote for the lesser of two evils. So she wants to get that vote of people who are going to vote for her because of environmentalism, because they think she's the lesser of two evils. Anyway, I don't know if it was in New Jersey, but there was some sort of, I don't know if it was like windmills in the ocean or some sort of environmental friendly thing, and it was killing a bunch of whales. This is the perfect example of how fake environmentalism kills the real environment. I'm very spiritual. I'm very superstitious. I believe what comes around goes around. The last thing I want to do is kill giant whales in the ocean, with machines. I feel like that's really bad ocean, karma, if that's a such thing. But they're killing giant whales and they're washing up on shore with their environmental programs. Like, imagine brainwashing kids into thinking killing giant whales is environmentalism. Take that shit out of the water. You can't just kill wildlife. Like, that's the worst thing you could do. Like, and Mother Nature is alive. So when you do bad things, it does bad things back. Like, you gotta chill. But people don't see it that way. They're like, yeah, we'll just put all these things there and get rid of fracking. And it's not necessarily going to be what you think it is. But, you got to think things through. It's not just like what you want. You got to be strategic about it. But anyway, I thought Trump saying I'm talking now, I thought that was super funny. The first one who tried to interrupt was Kamala. And, they shut her mic off because that's what they were doing for this debate. But Trump was like, I'm talking now. I thought that was funny. That was definitely like a highlight of the thing. They talked about January 6th. Obviously, January 6th was like a big day for America. Democrats say it was the worst thing since the Civil War. Dude, can you believe these people? And these are the people that are trying to say that it's hate speech to question history. Don't question history. You're lying about today. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not a fan of January 6th. I'm sorry if it bothers people. I think it was a dumb day. Was it as bad as the Civil War? I mean, if it was as bad as the Civil War, then the Civil War was not that bad, and I was lied about the Civil War. I was under the interpretation the Civil War was really bad, but maybe it wasn't. I'm sure it was, but, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, if they're willing to look at me in the face and be like, "That was as bad as the Civil War," why would I believe anything these people have ever told me? I don't even like January 6th. I think it was a dumb day. I think it was sloppy and stupid, but, like, yeah, the Civil War. And Trump, see, I don't have a problem with what he said there. I don't think he did a bad job at this part. I think he did fine. He said, I in my speech, I said peacefully and patriotically, probably true. He said I tweeted something out, but he said not just after. He said before I told people to do it peacefully and patriotically. And then also he went off and was like, what about everybody that's burning down neighborhoods and all this stuff? I don't know. I agree with that. I know. I think his name was Jack Del Rio or something. He was the coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars at one point. He came out and he said that he thought the BLM riots were worse than January 6th. And he got like a fine and maybe he had to say sorry. Like, think about how sold out the corporations that control America are. The NFL is one of the biggest corporations, the biggest sports league, and one of the most influential companies in not just America, but the world, especially in America. You're not allowed to be a coach there and say that January 6th was not as bad as the George Floyd riots. It's an opinion. It's a debate. It's a debatable opinion. I could see both sides of the debate if I were like a lawyer, but I actually agree. I think there are reasons that January 6th was worse, like political reasons, but also I think the lockdowns were worse than January 6th. Like, what they did with the lockdowns were worse. And in fact, the George Floyd riots and the January 6th, not that either of them were excusable, but these were also reactions to like enslaving your population for 8-9 months and locking them in the house, treating them like animals, and then letting them outside one day. I mean, that's a terrible idea to do as a government. That's why slavery and lockdown should be illegal. But anyway, it's like, think about that. This sort of shit. You can't even work for the NFL and say that this was worse than that. It was worse than that. More people died. More property damage was done. And I understand why the political process is important, and I agree that it is, and I don't think that should ever happen. But it's like these scumbag politicians, and this is not justifying or excusing what happened, but these scumbag politicians, they don't give a shit if your neighborhood burns down. They don't give a shit if your business burns down. They don't care about any of that stuff. They only care when it happens to them. Now it's a tragedy. But when they get to lock you down from their ivory tower like dictators, destroy your businesses, family members are dropping from depression and mental illness. And like, I knew a guy who he was an alcoholic, but then he became a good worker. And then he went back to alcohol and it ruined his life, the lockdowns. They don't care about any of that. But the second, like, one minor inconvenience happens to them, that, to be quite fair, like, as far as them personally, the Capitol Police were involved, and that was a personal thing. The people there were involved, but the politicians, they weren't even really there, and nothing happened to them. So what are they even talking about? But I digress. He also said that Nancy Pelosi rejected security, which is probably also true. Kamala, like, she's got all the talking points down where she was like saying something about Trump said there were good people on both sides and people were like spewing anti-Semitic hate. And I was like, are they going to write this in the history books and tell people that like Charlottesville was like the worst day in America because, there were two sides of horrible people, all evil? Or wait, are the Democrats amazing and good or whatever? But it's like they're like yelling at each other. It's like, yeah, was that worse than the Civil War that day? And like Trump's responsible for that or something because he wasn't even there. I don't know. That I thought was interesting. They talked about Israel and Hamas, and this was, to me, because like this is the one thing that I don't know. It's a lot of things, so I don't want to really get into it. But I thought Trump's answer was super stupid, and I thought that Kamala's answer was actually good. Keep in mind, for those who are going to cry, I don't believe Kamala Harris. I just think she says what she thinks sounds good. Like, I don't actually believe a word she says, and I don't like Kamala Harris, and I don't really But what she said actually sounded good. Like, she was like, listen, like, we got to defend our ally, but there should be a two-state solution, and too many Palestinians are dying, right? That's what she said. She did the safe answer. Like, as much as Trump and Sean Hannity and Republicans that are Zionists tell you, oh, she's pro-Palestine. She's not pro-Palestine. She's pro-Israel. Trump's pro-Israel. Both parties are Zionist, and it's a hate speech to say that they are, because you can't say that that's happening even though everyone knows it's happening. So it's like, she's not a threat to Israel. And anything she thinks about a two-state solution, if Israel doesn't want to do it, they're not going to stop them. You know what I'm saying? Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they probably have no power to even do so. They'll pretend like they do, but they'll get run over by Bibi Netanyahu. Bibi Netanyahu will do whatever he wants, and Biden and Kamala are not going to do anything, in my opinion. But with Trump, he was like, Kamala hates Israel, and Israel won't exist in 2 years. He made a prediction. He said, Israel won't exist in 2 years if Kamala's the president. I don't want to make a guarantee, but I guarantee you, and I hope it doesn't happen because I don't want to see Kamala Harris as the president, but if, God forbid, Kamala Harris wins, Israel is going to be there in 2 years. Like Trump on this topic, he's pathologically lying. Israel's not going to disappear because Kamala Harris is president. She's going to fund Israel. America's going to support Israel. Netanyahu's going to do whatever he's want. She's going to cry about it for her progressive fans, say she wants a two-state solution, and nobody in Israel is going to listen to her, and she's still going to give them money anyway, because that's what she does. Joe Biden's not cutting the funding from them. He's giving them money. Both parties do that. So you could say that Trump is more pro-Israel, which might be true. You might say Trump might stop the war. I liked his talking points on that. He said, if I were president, there would have been no war. Maybe he's right. Like, I like when he says that stuff. If I was president, Ukraine and Russia never would have been at war because they never would have invaded. Thought that was a good talking point. He said, Kamala Harris, you went and met with Zelensky, and then 3 days later he invaded. You suck at your job. I agree. Like, she's like, I was there 3 days before the invasion. Well, you didn't stop it, so maybe you're not that good at whatever negotiation you did with Zelensky. Like, you didn't even stop the invasion. But they don't want to stop the invasion. I mean, maybe they do want to stop the invasion, but how much money have they gotten from the invasion? Hundreds of billions of dollars flowing. You know, who's getting a cut of that money? Can't say that. Oh, well, someone's getting a cut of it. Anyway, I like when Trump says stuff like that. But to me, when he said, you hate Israel and Israel's going to be gone in 2 years, it's like, it's not going to be gone in 2 years. And Trump might be more pro-Israel, but this is what I've noticed, and I want to say this as respectfully as possible because I know it's going to get misconstrued and considered hate speech. Zionist media, which is like Fox News, pretty much every Republican news outlet that you follow, except for like people getting banned from YouTube, like Candace Owens. But I mean, she goes the other way pretty hard. But I'm just saying, like, in general, like all the Zionist Republican news, they're constantly telling their base that like Joe Biden supports Hamas and Joe Biden's pro-Palestine and Joe Biden's going to get Israel destroyed. And Kamala Harris is this. She's a Zionist. Okay. She's a proud Zionist. She's going to support Israel. She's going to fund Israel. She's going to say what the progressives want to hear. And then she's not going to do it. That's why they hate her. None of the pro-Palestine people like Kamala Harris because she's lying. She's not helping Palestine. She's not doing anything. She's doing exactly what every president of America does because America's entire political system revolves around Israel. And now there's hate speech laws in America saying you can't say that it does. But in general, you can make the argument that Trump will be better for Israel. But this fake Republican Zionist talking point that like, she's working for Hamas. Dude, how many tens of billions of dollars has she given to Israel? Like, she's funneling money to them just like everybody else will. It's like, and they brag about it. You think this is another thing too on this topic. Statistically, not everybody, because I know people that are going the other way, but statistically, by far, more Jewish people are going to vote for Kamala Harris over Trump. And it's not because they hate Israel. It's just they tend to be more liberal. So it's like this idea that like, that's not true. I mean, everybody in Republican media is lying about that in unison, and they're bringing back like the 2001, like, oh, everybody Muslim is a terrorist. It's like, okay, we're gonna rerun this playbook again or whatever. And I'm not saying that you have to do this or that. I'm just saying like him saying that Israel's going to be gone in 2 years is the most ridiculous, stupid thing that he said the whole debate. But it's not a big deal. Sorry, I got something in my eye. Time out. Shut off the live stream. Hey, YouTube, hold on. I got an injury here. Hold on. Oh my gosh. Need a sip of water. Almost took my eye out there. I don't know what that is. I think that was the deep state. I got the deep state attacking my eye. Hold on, folks. Patriots, hold on. We got the deep state trying to. Seriously, that sound was in my eye. I'm sorry about that. Where were we? Back to my notes. Okay. The black and Indian part, I have to say this because, like, this is another unpopular opinion. I notice, like, when Trump says something and makes a joke or says something, it's like everybody just goes along with it. And sometimes for good reasons. Trump's funny. He's right. Like, let's go with it. But with the black and Indian thing, I never understood that. You could say Kamala is not like she tries to like act more ghetto when she's in like black neighborhoods. Like you could say that because it's kind of true. Like she talks on a state, like she'll act like she's a cop when she's like in front of America because she wants white people to vote for her. So she's like, "I'll close the border." It's like, all right, Kamala, like she acts like a. But then it's like when she's in like black neighborhoods, she'll be like, "Hey, y'all, we're gonna really." It's like, all right, like she's a bad actor for sure. Her black accent is not good. Like it's like AOC when she goes to the hood, or not even the hood, just like a random neighborhood. She starts talking all weird. Like it just doesn't sound authentic. With that being said, like I get saying that, but I don't understand this narrative where like Trump made this up and he didn't say much about it today. Like I don't think he did bad in the debate at this point, but when he started saying she's not black, I thought she was Indian, but now she's black again. I personally don't understand that because it's like if you're born black and Indian, ethnically you're black and Indian. You're both. Say you're black and Indian, but your family listens to Punjabi MC, eats chicken korma, and like you come from like a super Indian family, and you're not attached to your black side at all. It's possible you had an Indian cultural upbringing, but you're still black ethnically, but you're more Indian culturally than you are black, but your ethnicity is still black. That's possible. Maybe you're black and Indian, but you grew up in a super black neighborhood. Your parents leaned into the black side more, and you tapped into that side of your culture. That's also possible. But to say like I thought you were just that, like I didn't know she was Indian at first. It doesn't mean she wasn't, but like I always just thought she was black. I mean, she's definitely light skinned. I have a rap lyric in my song called "Way Too Jack for the Gulag." I said, "Tanning on a beach to Panama till my skin darker than Kamala. Keep it too real for the camera. Y'all a fantasy like a Kamala." I said, "Tanning on a cruise to Panama with my skin darker than Kamala." I thought it was funny because I believe sometimes I look more tan than Kamala. Not now. Sit me in the sun a few days, I get golden, and Kamala is a little ghostly sometimes. Doesn't mean she's not part black. She's just pretty light skinned and she looks biracial. But all ethnic jokes aside, I just never understood that talking point from Trump. Everyone's like, yeah, she was Indian, then she's black. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's always been black and Indian. You could say she's not the most like rugged black person you've ever met. You could also say she was culturally Indian more, but like I just don't get like me. I'm Italian, I'm Polish, I'm Czechoslovakian, and I'm Puerto Rican. You could say what you want about it. I'm not like I don't know. It's like it is what it is. It's not like I thought you were this, but you were that. I don't know. I've always been that, but like as somebody who has different ethnicities, it's just like I don't get like what out of all the talking points to do about Kamala. You could say that she tries to act way more black than she is in front of black audiences. You could say, she's a liar. You could say like, but to be like, I thought you weren't Indian or I thought you were Indian and I thought you weren't black. Okay. Well, I thought she was black. I didn't know she was Indian. Like we all thought things, but like, who knows? And I'm sure at different times she could pretend it. Like there's people who change their name to seem more Hispanic than they are. And I'm not saying people aren't, but like two examples, left and right, were, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I believe she went by like Sandia Ocasio or whatever. Like she had like she leaned into the Espanol and like once she got into politics. Anna Paulina, she's Hispanic too, but she went as Ana Paulina Luna. I know I talked to her years ago. Before she ran for office, she never used Luna. But she started using that more when she went into politics, maybe to be even more Hispanic or seem more Hispanic. Maybe it's because it's good branding, like Luna. It's 4 letters. Like I changed my Instagram from Anomaly Hip Hop to Dream Rare because it's easier to spell Dream Rare. So maybe Anna Paulina brought the Luna when she ran for politics because Luna was easier, or maybe it was because it's even more Spanish. But like people do that in politics for one reason or another, but it doesn't mean they weren't Spanish before. Someone said Anna Paulina Luna is Alina Haba in a mask. No joke. I don't think that's true. I've met Anna multiple times before she was in politics. She's not that other lady in a mask. And I'm not saying she's not Hispanic. She is Hispanic. She's always been. I'm just saying for you could ask her. I'm sure she'd tell you. Was it branding, or was it branding because it's 4 letters, or was it branding because it's like a Hispanic name? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Why didn't you go by Cortez when, maybe if I ran for politics, I'd be Bonifacio Rodriguez. I just make up a Hispanic name or something and be like, arriba, arriba. People will be like, dude, relax. It's seeming really racist. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I've always been Rodrigo Bonifacio Lopez Jr. They're like, it's never been. But Beto O'Rourke. Yeah, I mean, that guy, he thinks he's a lot of things. He thinks he's a skateboarder. He's Tony Hawk. He's your son's best friend. He's riding his, he's Spanish, even though he's like the white. But I don't, it is what it is. Anyway, without getting off topic, they brought up the black and Indian part, which was just funny. But it's like, I don't know. I just always thought that was a weird talking point. Like, I thought you were Indian, but you're black now. It's like, okay, there's other ways to make Kamala look dumb, but whatever. She said that her and Tim Walz were gun owners. And I was like, really? I didn't know that. They're like, stop saying we want to take away people's guns. We're gun owners. I mean, you want to take away some guns, don't you? But then also Trump infringed on the Second Amendment too. So I don't know. But obviously gun owners like Trump for obvious reasons. The Democrats are untrustworthy. They ended on Affordable Care Act and climate change. And I don't know. I was getting bored at that point. I was like, this debate sucks. This show sucks. Let me get back to sitting on the couch getting fat watching football. But no, I don't know. Nothing really memorable from those parts. They just brought that up. Overall, I'll read a few comments to them and take off. Overall, I think that, as I said earlier, I think Trump's ceiling is higher than Kamala's. Kamala's ceiling is lower. She's not honest. She doesn't have that good of a personality. She laughs nervously all the time. And she's just like not a cool person. She's like a leftover from Hollywood, I think she tried to do a lot of things in life and she ended up there. Good for her. Anyway, never mind. I don't want to get into that part of her life, but I just saw some joke. What was it? The Willie Brown clip. There's a I guess we are going there. Willie Brown clip that is going viral now. And it's like they saw a picture of Willie Brown or a video with like Kamala was with Willie Brown and the news host goes, is that your grandfather? Or something like that. She's like, is that your grandfather? Is that your father? And it was like, that was her sleeping with the mayor. And then she got into politics. Anyway, older guy. On that note, where were we? Oh yeah. Kamala's ceiling is lower and Trump has a higher ceiling. But this debate was really about how good is Trump going to do and how bad is Trump going to do? Because Kamala, she could mess up, but her ceilings, like Trump has a higher ceiling, but a lower, like he can mess up because he's being more off the cuff. He's being more honest. It's not as scripted. Everything's not like he's a playboy singing like Les Miserables, this sob story. He's really trying to keep it somewhat real. With that being said, I think Trump could have done better. But I don't think Trump is as good at debating as people think he is. He's not the worst. He's definitely he definitely changed the game in a lot of ways, and I like him better than Mitt Romney and all those people. But I do think that Trump is one of those guys where like he's like such a character that he leans into things he knows often, and he's as off the cuff as he is. It's like he's got his phrases and he likes to just like run with them. Where like if you're at a Trump rally and you're like saying it that way, it like everyone loves it. If you're in front of the world and you're trying to get their votes, you gotta, in my view, explain what you're talking about. Like when I'm talking to my boy who knows what I'm talking about, I don't have to explain myself. When I'm in front of 1,600 people and like, there's 400 people here who don't know what I'm talking about, then I'm trying to be clear with it. So I think Trump did not do as good as he could have. And that seems to be what a lot of people are saying. My friends that like Trump, not all of them, but some of them are saying that. People that I know are left leaning that are voting for Trump that I know, they thought he did bad. Pretty much everybody that I was talking to thought that. When I was watching, I also thought that, but I guess I'll say this. I don't think he did as bad as people are saying he did. Like the people that like Trump that are like, he sucked that. Like, I don't think he did that bad. Like, if I could give him a 1 through 10, right? Not like 1 through 10 of like how good he could have done and how bad he did. I'd give him like a 6. But like, it's election time. So you want to see like an 8, a 9, or a 10. Like, I don't think Trump did a 3. I don't think it was horrible, but it was like a 6 out of 10. And, you would love to see a 9 out of 10 and Kamala Harris have like a 1 out of 10. Kamala Harris is not an honest person, but for what she had to do, if I could rate the debate of like what I thought outside of what I think of them, I'd give Trump a 6 out of 10 and I'd give Kamala a 2 out of 10. That's my scale. Trump gets a 6 out of 10, Kamala gets a 2. Trump won the debate for me. If I give Kamala a scale of how good she needed to do to accomplish what she wanted to do, I'd give her a 9 or a 9.5. Not because I think she's a 9.5, but she could have done worse. She could have embarrassed herself like Biden. She could have looked way worse. She did almost as good as she needed. She did as good as she needed to do and almost as good as she can do. And Trump did worse than he can do. That's my take. That's my ratings. So let me know if you agree. Like, she's not impressive to me, but she's not an impressive person. She did as good as she could do. She was like Joe Flacco out there at like 45, like throwing 3 touchdowns where you're like, and he has a few games left in him like that. Like, that's a bad example because Joe Flacco's awesome and Kamala Harris sucks. But you get what I'm saying? It's not that she's incredible. It's just she did what she had to do. And Trump didn't do what he had to do. But he didn't drop like, there's going to be Trump supporters and people that like Trump that are like, he blew it. He sucks. He did not. He came across at some points funny. I thought, like, if I could, even with the 6 out of 10, I think he handled certain topics pretty well. Abortion, I don't think he handled abortion terribly. That's a losing battle for him when it comes to public perception for the most part. I don't think he handled it that terribly. The Israel part was weird, but I think it was inconsequential for the most part. Like, no one really cared. I thought immigration he was weak on because that's his strongest talking point, but I just thought he didn't do a good job. Like, I'm not saying Trump's bad on immigration, but the way he was talking about it just seemed dumber than normal. Like, I feel like he did a worse job than he normally does. Like, his messaging was just coming across like kind of like flustered and like, ugh. And it's just like, I don't know. It's weird because that should be his strongest talking point, but I feel like he just didn't lean into it like he could have. He made me laugh several times. Yeah, no, Trump, the part where he said, I'm talking was funny. The part where he said, nobody goes to your rallies, so there's nothing to leave. That was really funny. Someone said you're dressed like a cholo. It's because I'm announcing my presidential run. I will be running as Anomaly, Bonifacio, Cortez, Lopez, Luna Lopez, Cortasio, Bonifacio, Rodriguez. That's my new name because I'm running to be the your cholo president of America. We're gonna build the border really tall so white people like it, but then we're gonna put Mexican restaurants on the Mexico side to boost Mexican businesses, and on the American side, we're gonna do a Tex-Mex, a mix for the Latinos and the Caucasians of Texas. So everyone's gonna be happy. No more cartel invasion, but businesses on both sides where we could eat good and enjoy culture. So I'll be running in like 2040, 2046, 2044, I guess. Someone said let's read some of the comments. Thank you guys for being here. I think this went well. And I say this not as like a cocky, oh, this went so well. Recently, like sometimes I go live and I'm just in the zone. Today I'm having a great time. The other day, I think I did fine yesterday too, but like I was like, sometimes I go live and I'm like, oh, I wish I wasn't live right now. If you've never been live in front of a lot of people, you don't know what it's like. On stage, I'm fine. It's not a big deal. But like, you get what I'm saying? I'm like in my, in my house. Like, it's just weird. Like, sometimes I go live and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to be here. And I'm like, oh, I got to be here for an hour. I'm like, this is going to suck. Today, I've been just enjoying myself the whole time. So it's gone well. Let's see what you guys are thinking. That's my opinion. I'll read some of yours, but don't get too carried away. Just because I read it doesn't mean you have a good opinion. You might suck. Just kidding. But seriously. Victor Lara said the debate won't change average person's opinion. They both repeatedly called each other liars while regurgitating the same talking points. Body, blue raised arms, face droopy, red eyes. Oh, was that an emoji? Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It could be. Let's see. Cheryl on Facebook says, good take on the whole night. He wasn't prepared for the curveballs, mostly coming from the commentators, as he should been. He didn't suck, but was a true blue Trump supporter. I wish he had. Here's the thing, though. I don't think they did that many curveballs. Like, going into the debate, you know what they're gonna like. They didn't have any crazy questions that I thought were like out of nowhere. They asked Kamala tough questions too. Like, I don't think they really gave Trump curveballs. I just think I just don't think he did that well at certain parts. Like, what part do you think was a curveball? Like, I do not like the media, but there was no one part where I was like, oh, that was out of nowhere. Like, they gave everyone time. They asked, they gave each other retorts. Like, I actually like the format of them turning off the mics and stuff. Like, in my opinion, they're doing a better job now than they did like 4 and 8 years ago. Like, it seems more fair now than it used to be, in my opinion. But I don't think they really gave them that many curveballs. Someone said, one thing I found weird is how they fact checked the immigrants eating pets. Yeah, that was a little sus, but it's like, yeah, see, here's the thing with that. Like, Trump's tapped into True Social and like Republican media, so he's all over like the eating animals stuff. Are you 100% sure they're eating animals? Like, I would not be shocked if Haitian immigrants were eating animals, but I don't know that for sure, so I'm not going to say it. Are you sure they are? Are they 100% for sure eating animals? I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world. People do it. But like, for Trump to lean into that narrative in the debate without really explaining it, it's not that it is. I know they fact checked it and stuff, but you should, I don't know. It's not that he's wrong for saying it. I think it's funny. I think for the national stage, like, he didn't explain it well enough. Like, if you're going to lean into that, you got to be like, no, it's literally happening. But who knows? Maybe like now that people heard about it, they're going to look it up and see that it's real. I have no idea. I don't care about it, but yeah, they're like, fact check, it's not true. It's like, all right, shut up, bro. Wait, like, fact check. Just like you guys fact check the lab leak and now you guys are pro lab leak, like, shut up. But yeah, that part was definitely a little like sneaky. They were like but I honestly, to be fair, I do think that Trump had a good answer for that too, because they said, well, the health inspector or whoever said this, and Trump's like, well, of course they're going to say that. That doesn't mean it's true. Like, I thought he handled that part okay. I just think he should have explained it better for people who have no idea what he's talking about. But I'm glad he didn't, because I think it was funny. Like, they're eating dogs, they're eating pets. That was the funniest part. Like, I'm just thinking about like liberals watching him yelling about like Haitians eating animals. That shit's so funny. I mean, so offensive and so not funny. That's like Kamala. So her whole vibe is like Trump's being funny and Kamala's like, that's so the racist. And you're like, Kamala, that's funny. Like, are you telling me if Trump said that at a comedy club and you were 2 drinks deep, you're not laughing? Shit's funny. Like, she has to pretend like she's so outraged. Like, what? Like, okay, say like I'm Polish, I'm Puerto Rican, right? Those are 2. I'm just picking 2 of my multiple ethnicities because like Puerto Rican is like the edgy one because it's like part Hispanic or whatever. But imagine if Trump said like, Anomaly, first you say you're Polish, then you say you're Puerto Rican. Which one are you? I don't care. Like, I would be like, this guy's fun. That's funny. I wouldn't be like, this is the most disgraceful thing anyone did. Like, I would be like, I'm 4 different things, I guess. I don't know. Like, I like, there's no way she's really offended by that. Like, you could tell Kamala the way she laughs all the time and stuff. She's just fucking around. Like, she's just happy to be there because, like, it's a pretty big position for someone that lame. With that being said, like, I don't think she's really offended by it. And like, I wonder if her audience knows that, because like, she comes across like, Kamala is not this blue hair. Someone said, wait, you're Polish, unsubscribed. See, that's funny. Kamala's not this blue haired liberal that's offended at everything. She's always laughing. You know what I'm saying? She's like, ha, 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 ha. She's not like Elizabeth Warren. Do you ever see Elizabeth Warren laugh? She's always like, I'm angry, pigeon attack. Like she's a Pokemon. She hits you with a baka, and then Elizabeth Warren, and then no one believes you. I'm like, I swear she just turned into a pigeon, poked me, and ran away with her eyes crossed. Like Elizabeth Warren has that pigeon energy. She's like, I'm drinking beer with my husband, and you're like she's like, oh look, the beer's on my head. She's like, this is how me and husband relax, and it's like, what are you, an alien? With that being said, there are some really crazy, like AOC is a psychopath. You could just tell. Kamala is not that person, you know, like inside she's laughing the whole time. Like I get why Steph Curry, I mean, he's an idiot for this, for endorsing her, but I get why he's like, oh, she's fun to hang out with. I bet she would be fun to hang out with. Like Elizabeth Warren is not fun. She's not fun to hang out with, but with Kamala, like in her head, she's laughing at all the funny shit Trump's saying. And you could tell because like, it's kind of like, she's like, she's like, that's so racist. And you're like, why'd you laugh so hard then? It's like, cause you know, it's funny. You know, that's who Kamala is. She knows she's lying. I know she's lying. She knows that I know she's lying. If she were watching this, she'd be laughing at like, oh man, this guy knows what's going on. That's funny, but I got to do this. So I enjoy her, but not to vote for her. I just think it's funny that she has to act like so offended. She's just like, how dare you question my race and the race of everybody? And now I'm going to get into this story from 50 years ago that I memorized 50 times. And you're like, but she doesn't really have conviction with it. She's someone that like, she's on stage, like trying out for a play. Like if you've ever gone to like a play tryout, they say, read the script, sing the song. And you have to be like, excuse me, King, but there's 2 jesters in this room. And they're like, okay, next. You know, like being a play girl or a playboy, you got to sing the songs and act. And you know what I'm saying? Like you got to like read the script. Everything she's doing, it's like a script. She's like, there were 4 young boys. The blood was going drip, drip, drop, drip, drip, drop, drip, drop, drop. And drippity drop was it going, and you're racist. Oh, that was pretty good. I mean, you know, like she like that's not what she's thinking in her head. She's like, that went pretty good. And I agree. For what she's capable of, she got a 9.5 out of 10. Not because she told the truth, not because it was great, but because she's not good. So her, you know, it's like when someone on the bench has 20 points. It's not that great. LeBron just had 35. But if you usually score 2 points, then 20 points is good. Like it's all perspective. Let's read some more comments. Someone said, I thought Trump did well until the beginning of at least until abortion. See, I thought he did okay on that topic, but I mean, it's that he's always going to do bad on that topic because that's a topic that he's not going to win the perception battle for like average voters, you know, like especially on that side. But this is what also like perception and perspective is everything. So you could have 10 different people watch a debate and say 10 different things. Like with music, there's always a hit song that like more people like. That's why it's popular. It's pop music. It's like, that's the song. Like I could listen to an album and be like, that's the single, you know? It doesn't mean it's the best song, but that's the song that I think that everybody's probably going to think is the single or that they're going to like. But, you know, I've had people like as a hip hop artist, I've had people say like, you know, your album was good, but song number 5 sucks. And like people will tell me this, like I give a shit, but they'll be like, song number 5 sucks. You shouldn't have done that. And I'm like, okay. And then someone else will be like, song number 5 saved my life. Like I was going to kill myself. And so I'm not even like exaggerating about this. Someone literally said that about like a certain song. One person told me not to make it. The other one said it saved their life. So it's like, it's all perspective, you know? Which you have to understand even when you have an opinion. That's why when people are like, oh, you're being a soy boy, it's like, you're probably guzzling soy right now. You're probably guzzling soy. I'm not a soy boy. I'm drinking water, okay? With a little bit of a tint because I put some electrolytes in it, okay? It's not soy. You're guzzling soy, glugging soy, glug, 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 disgusting soy boy, saying, you're a soy boy. No, we're going 5 layers deeper than you're thinking. It's not just what I think. It's not just what you think. It's not what Trump supporters think. It's all perspective and perception. Stop guzzling soy and accusing me of what you're doing. Because I could be like, I think Trump did pretty good at the abortion part. And then someone else could be like, Trump did terrible at the abortion part. And it's like, yes, that is how debates work. Different people see it different way. And I would say this, that Democrats understand that. They're constantly faking for perception. I'm not an advocate of faking for perception because I don't think it's not a good way to live your life. Authenticity is also very relatable. Like authentic presidents win and beat the phonies. But Democrats think about perception a lot. And it's not that Republicans don't, but a lot of times they don't. They're like, well, this is what we think. And it's like, okay. And then Democrats can be guilty of that too because they're acting crazy and then nobody agrees with it. But it's like the intelligent person in a campaign is thinking of perception. And Trump and Kamala are. That's why they're like, you're going to get rid of fracking. Trump is purposely pushing that harder and harder and harder because he wants to win Pennsylvania. She brought up Polish people in Pennsylvania. That was very smart. I don't know why, like, I don't know how many Polish people there are in Pennsylvania or if that's going to sway the thing, but she knows she needs more Pennsylvania votes. It's an interesting game. See, I didn't think Trump did bad at the abortion part, but that like when that comes up, you're like, oh gosh, because so many women want abortions. They're like, I got 5 tattoos and I want a 6, and then I want an abortion, and then I want to get a tattoo that says I got an abortion, and then I'm gonna get another abortion, and then I'm gonna get a tattoo that says I got an abortion, and then I'm gonna be 37, and then I'm gonna work for the New York Times, and then I'm gonna hate on single mother. It's like, okay, like I'm not saying you can or can't. I'm not, but it is. This society is getting like a little bit sad, like you want it that bad, it's like, okay, well, anyway, appreciate you guys. Thank you. Someone said, Pim Tool, I watch his show and I agree with a lot of things he thinks, but he's a dick. Yeah, he is a dick. He's a good businessman. Well, apparently not. He got involved in some bad business recently, but he was a good businessman. He's a good host. Like he does a good show, but I do think he's a dick. Everybody, and I'm not trying to be rude, but everybody know, like if I could analytically look at us, Tim runs a business that makes more money than I do. I'm pretty sure. I'm funnier. I'm more honest. I'm nicer. I'm more compassionate. I'm a better journalist. I'm more likable. Like I'm just better than Tim Pool in every way. So he's good. He's not terrible, but yeah, he's a dick. He sucks. He's not like overly interesting. He's not funny. He's not likable. He's not nice. He's, that's where like the ego comes in because like everybody likes himself, but it's not confidence. It's like he knows he's like the best gremlin out of the Beanie Bunker bunch. So he surrounds himself by like, people that'll be subservient to him. So then like, no gremlins like out gremlin him. And if a gremlin outgrows him, then he throws him in a different dumpster so he can be the king of the dumpster. So anyway, let's get back to the debate. Someone said Trump better watch out. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate you. Someone said he's good, but too arrogant. He's not really good though. Like he plays like he's good. And then when somebody comes on and tells the truth too much, he starts like screaming at them like obsessively. That's why he sabotaged me going on his show. Because if I would have went on the show, I would have just obviously been way cooler than him and more honest. And he knew that. I think he purposely sabotaged my thing and then acted like he didn't know who I was. Like I think he's that bad of a person, but it's okay. So I gotta like block somebody on YouTube. They're like spamming weird stuff. Hold on, let me see. Oh, it's not even coming up anymore. Oh well. Someone said Anomaly, I have the same humor as Trump. I appreciate it. All right, let's read. Bronson Brown on Facebook. What's up, brother? Anomaly, no matter who wins, he says, we are divided as a nation. The Bible says a house divided will fall, so goes a nation. The whole divide and conquer strategy is working. How can we prevent an all-out civil war and an attack from a foreign enemy on our soil? Don't you feel it in the atmosphere? We all know the dollar's collapsing. If that happens and we no longer have the world's currency, are we screwed? Opinions? It's a lot to go into, but I hear what you're saying, and especially biblically, like divided we fall, united we stand, divided we fall, as well in American, script. But this is what I've noticed, and I want to say this properly because I know if I don't, then my it's gonna come off wrong. They've demonized nationalism, and I used to kind of fall with it because like they make it so scary to say that word that like it's scary because they say like nationalism's this and that, and you're so bad, and you're like, whoa, like they've demonized that because yeah, of course, a nation that's going to exist for a long time needs to be somewhat united and strong. It can't be weak and completely divided, and that's why they demonize nationalism in America, because a strong nation will survive and fight back against the tyranny to some extent, and a weak nation just gets conquered over. So if you look at like everywhere in the world, and I don't say this to be to say that these countries are good, because I like America and I don't want to move to China or Russia. But China is communist, right? They're literally communist. Literally. It's national communism. I'm not saying it's good. I wouldn't want to live in China. I'm just saying, why isn't China completely falling apart? Why isn't everybody poor there? Why is their economy doing so well? Because they have nationalism, and because they don't hate themselves, and because they're productive, and because the people there build and create a lot of stuff and make a lot of manufacturing. And they do a lot of bad stuff too. And I'm not Chinese, and I'm not a communist, and I'm not a national communist in China, and I'd have nothing to do with China. But I'm just saying, if their nation had no like nation, there would be no China. Russia's the same way. They're not communist. They're what people would call fascist, right wing. I don't think Putin's left wing. Maybe you could make the argument he is. I don't really care. But it's like they hate any nation that has a sense of nationalism. Like Europe is falling, America's falling, and any country with a nation bothers people who want international rule and international subversion and international, I would say, like government and rule. So yeah, of course a divided nation will fall, and the people running America and our media, they're making sure that it happens. And then you got to ask yourself why. I still think, I'm an optimistic person, and I think that it will work. But what I noticed is that's why they get so mad when you talk about anything or history or anything. But it's like, how could a nation be successful if it's not a nation? Like your nation has to have some sort of national cohesion, and traditionally it was ethnicity, and even now, like this is the frustrating part, because it's like our greatest ally, so they say, is Israel. They have ethnic cohesion. In fact, you can get like if you're Ashkenazi or you're Jewish of some sort, maybe Sephardic, I don't know, and you could prove that, you can get a citizenship there. They're giving out ethno citizenships. I'm not telling them not to. It's just like they're doing that. China's doing that. Russia's doing that. They all have a different political structure, left and right and whatever, but it's like they all feel like if they don't have some sort of cohesion ethnically, then it's not going to work. Yet a lot of people are making sure that Europe and America are not allowed to feel that way. So in America, if you don't have ethnic cohesion, then what is your nation? Trump is the middle ground. Trump is not that extreme. He's like, America means American. You like America, you like the flag, you do this, you do like, okay, we all got to do this or think this way. Not everybody, but like we have to agree on something because it's not ethnicity anymore. But then the Democrats and the media make it impossible even to do that. There's millions of Mexican patriots. There's millions of Armenians and, all sorts of people that love America, and the media hates you. You know what I'm saying? If you're that type of person in America, since we don't have ethnic cohesion, they won't allow for us to have a nation outside of that. So I'm not arguing for a political structure. I know it'll be misconstrued that way, I'm sure, by liars and deceivers, but it's just like a nation is important. And how to do that, I mean, I think people just have to be aware and awake to what's going on, and in any way counter it. And I think it has to be done respectfully and thoughtfully, because just throwing a fit about it is not in any way going to help. It only just helps the other side. So, I mean, I have faith, but I do what I can, and then I try to be peaceful about it and just like, live a good life. But yeah, I mean, Yeah, divided you fall. And there's so many games being played now, and this is like the scary part. The more you know, the less you want to say sometimes. That's why they say wise people talk less. And it's true. Like the more I learn, like the less I could tell most people, because it's like everything sounds crazy. Like if try talking to a liberal about anything, you sound like a psychopath, even though you're right about everything. And it's like and then you have this fake controlled right wing media that's telling you 80% truth or 90% truth and 10 or 20% like complete brainwashing. And you can't see that you're being brainwashed because at least 80% of it's true. And then you're caught in this thing where like everybody thinks and say like there's certain. That's why, in my view, Oliver Twisted said, "Dude, you need to fix your lighting. Very unflattering shadows, bro. Go click off and watch a movie, bro. You wanna look at good graphics, bro. Go put on the best graphical show. It's nighttime, dude. I usually have great lighting because I use sunlight. I like to do natural lighting because I want to preserve my eyes as I get older. And this is a rare night stream. I never do streams at night anymore. And I know that this lighting is not ideal. That's why it's the only time I'm going to do it. So if lighting is so important to you that you have to make that comment, even though 99% of my streams are not lit this way, actually none of them are anymore, then go watch something that's well lit. Perhaps you could just mute it and just stare at it and, what I'm saying, get a little fuzzy feeling inside from the visuals of it. But these are not my normal visuals. They're not going to be my visuals tomorrow or next week or ever again, unless I have to be up this late to do a live stream. So congratulations for making the show, my man. I hope you feel good about yourself. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Even with that Tucker interview was so interesting to me. I want to say this too, on the note of like people getting upset. I read a comment, and I had thousands. Like from my last live stream, it kind of seemed like it's doing well. But someone said, Anomaly, I bought one of your like $120 like signed hats or however much they were. I only signed like 7 or 10 or 11 or 13. I don't remember how many I signed, but I was like, I was like, these are there. If you want to buy them and support, that's cool. They're collector edition. If you like me or think it might be valuable someday. I don't sign 1,000 things. So I purposely sign less. So when I do sign stuff, it actually means something. I don't want to just sign everything all the time. But anyway, he said he bought it. And then he said, I burned it. I'm going to burn my hat because you said you liked Tucker Carlson and Trump and Candace. And it's like, first of all, I'm going off of ideas and reality and moments in pop culture to talk about something bigger that's more important than me or Candace or Trump or Tucker. And I'm very clear about that. When it comes to Tucker, I like him as an entertainer. I like him as a journalist, but I don't believe everything he says or trust him. And there have been times where I feel like he's been wrong, but I like him. I've never told everyone they have to believe everything he says. I think Tucker, the last couple of months, he's been doing some of the best video interviews. Like he's having a crazy run. Like a lot of his shows and interviews have been phenomenal. The Thomas Massey one was incredible. Like I'm not going to downplay his journalism just because I disagree with some stuff. With that being said, I'm not making somebody like, and same with the Candace stuff. It's like, so many people, like it's so much about their personality and their character, and you're like, I hate this and that, but then go make a channel and talk about it, bro. I don't really care. But it's like I'm going off of certain things that are going on, certain moments, saying what I think about it. And there's always a bigger picture than just Tucker or Candace or whatever. I have my personal preferences, but like if you said I like watching Tim Pool, okay, I'm gonna make jokes and stuff, but like that's cool. Some people like Ben Shapiro. I don't like it. I don't go around and try to police what people like, but I'll speak with intention. Here's why I disagree with Ben Shapiro. Here's why I don't like I'm not just out here messing around. Someone said I'm here for the lighting. Thank you. But anyway, with that sort of stuff, it's just fascinating. It's like you've liked me enough to buy a signed hat, and you're mad at one video where I talked about Zionism and because I complimented people you don't like. Okay, burn the hat you paid for. I don't really care. Now you made my signatures more valuable because now instead of 12, there's less or whatever. But when it comes to that Tucker Carlson interview, it's so fascinating to me. It's not because it's hateful. It's not because this and that. It's because it's a bigger thing than even that's going on. That's drawing people out of the woodworks to show you who they really are. That's how I see it. And the truth is, like, there are certain narratives, certain phrases, certain words, certain parts of history that you can't question and that the left and the right constantly argue over. So if anyone comes along and breaks a hole in that narrative, then it's a huge threat, not because you did anything wrong or believe what they say you believe, but because now it's putting a hole in the matrix that they've created, which is going to make people realize that other things they said were a lie too. And that's like the rabbit hole. With the pharmaceutical stuff, it's the easiest example now because they're not cracking down on it as much. But in general, like, in my opinion, you have to be an idiot to think that they just made a bunch of mistakes. Like, you think they really just by a mistake censored people who talked about a lab leak theory? And then 4 years later on a debate stage, after Democrats called it a conspiracy theory for 4 years, they're saying Trump wasn't being conspiratorial enough, talking about the lab leak theory, like Kamala brought up with President Xi. Like, these are not mistakes. These are calculated moves to control perception and cover up certain information when they need to accomplish goals and then let it out when they no longer need it. With the pharmaceutical industry, like, it was so obvious what they were doing. It was so obvious. But it's the same thing with now. It's like when you look at what's going around in the world in Russia, like, I'm making the parallels right now. They're saying, and this has been said hundreds of times, they're trying to say that Putin is very similar to Hitler. I don't think so, but they think so. And who knows what we're going to learn in 50 years, because like they're saying Putin invaded Ukraine, and people like RFK and Trump and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and Dave Smith and anybody with half a brain are saying, well, you're calling it unprovoked, but if you actually, like, and this is history we live in, the United States was giving missiles and weapons and threatening Russia within Ukraine while funneling money and weapons to their ally. That would be like China or Iran funneling weapons and essentially creating an army at the Mexican border. And then if America invaded, do you think America would tell you it was unprovoked? No, they said it was provoked because they were sending weapons to our border. That's what America did in Ukraine. I'm not saying Putin was right. I have nothing to do with Russia. I don't really give a shit about, like, I'm sorry, but it's just like, I just want the war to stop and people to stop dying and us to stop spending money. That's about as far as I care about it. I just think it's sad what's going on. But in 20 years, maybe you're not allowed to say that. Maybe you get arrested in a foreign country for saying that, because the history that they're trying to write it was completely unprovoked. And it's like, is Putin the best leader of all time? Far from it. Do I trust him? Absolutely not. Would I want to live there? No. But is he Hitler? That's what they're saying. And they're saying that he wants to invade all of Europe. Does he? I don't think so, but how would I know? They said he'd have Kiev if it were like, if Trump were in office, he'd have Kiev. I don't think that's true. I don't even know if he's going for that city. It looks like he's not, but it's like, I'm not sure, because I don't spend all my hours researching this exact topic, but based on what I have seen and what I have researched, they're obviously lying about things that I know that they're lying about, but they're trying to make these parallels. And over time, what they're trying to do now is they're trying to persecute people who are messing up their narrative. Go after the guy from Telegram. Why? Because his app is ruining the narrative. Go after X in Brazil and Rumble. Why? Because those two apps are ruining the narrative. And they're slowly going to try to crack down slowly and then quickly on everybody who ruins that narrative. And you might think it's inconsequential, or you might think it might not happen to you, or you might think it's just this person or that person, or it's because this person did that person. No, it's because in 40, 50 years, in my view, they want it to be consolidated in the Western world that this is what happened. Trump was evil. Trump was Hitler. Putin was Hitler. Putin wanted to invade. Trump wanted to hurt everybody. They're going to say Trump killed millions of people with COVID. They're going to say Trump tried to kill millions of illegals. They're going to jack up those numbers as much as they can to act like Trump was some maniac. That's what they're doing now. I don't even like Trump that much. And it's like, he's not all of those things. He's a lot of things, but he's not that. Like, he's out of every leader that I've seen. Like, I mean, the worst thing he did was during the pandemic, and they think that was the best thing he did. And they're going to write in the history books something else. It's like, okay. And the only reason I'm allowed to even say this right now is because it's happening right now. And enough people know that it's happening right now because they're living in it right now. And they are censoring certain stuff, and they've tried, but it's impossible to censor that much because we're all living in it right now. How could they do that? But over the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, as the history books get consolidated and the media gets consolidated and recalling what happened gets consolidated, do you think that the people running this country right now don't want to write the narrative in a way that's completely untrue? And this is what I have to say to people on the right that are now getting mad at the Tucker Carlsons and stuff of the world. It's not that you don't have a right to be upset, because when it comes to history, I understand why people are upset. I understand why people can't have certain things talked about or even slightly debated because they're more important than you or whatever. And like their history matters so much more. And other tragedies are not as tragic. Like in their own words, that's what they'll say. It's like no other tragedy even comes close to that. And if you don't submit to that idea, then you're, whatever. But in general, it gets even like, the question I have to ask the people like that, especially on the right that seem genuine on other topics, if you want people to trust certain things, you have to be trustworthy. I remember one time, I was talking to somebody and they kept telling me, you have to trust me, when I didn't. You have to trust me. You have to trust me. And I said, I actually don't. Trust is earned. You don't ask for it, you earn it. If someone's begging for your trust and they're not being trustworthy, it doesn't matter. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, that's not how it works. I trust my friends I trust because they've earned my trust, not because they've begged me for it. In fact, all of my friends and family that I trust have never once asked me to trust them. I just do it instinctually. It's not something you ask for. So it's like, even if you're mad at all this stuff, are you honest enough to know why? And this is my problem with like almost everybody, which is why I don't even talk to that many people. Because it's like the government will be like, why did this and that happen? And it's like, okay, you could be mad at what happened. Bro, you fucking locked people in their house for 8 months. You shoved people inside for 3 months, and then you told everybody, go outside, and George Floyd died. You didn't let them outside before. And what the fuck did you think was going to happen when you lock people inside a house like a caged animal for 3 months and then let them out in the streets and ramp up the media with race riots? They knew what the fuck was going to happen, and they purposely made it happen. And everyone fucking knows it, that has half a brain, and it was terrible. But then they're going to act like they don't know why it happened. It's like, if you put a person in a small area for 3 months and say you can't go anywhere and like access the real world, and then let them out in the real world. Yeah, no, there's going to be no down consequences. You're not talking about that. Everyone's getting fatter. People are dying of opioids, the psychological abuse. No, you guys don't want to talk about that. Fuck you. Okay. And it's the same thing with the historical stuff. I understand why certain groups and certain people and certain this don't want stuff questioned. Muslims don't want stuff questioned. Christians don't want stuff questioned. Maybe to a different extent, but it's not unusual to have a religious group or a racial group not want stuff questioned. It's understandable. I'm not out here saying that you can't want this or that. The speech laws is going a little too far. The censorship's going a little too far. But at the end of the day, it's like, are you not aware that right now they're trying to lie about everything right now? The pharmaceutical industry, the lockdowns, recent history, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Putin, Zelensky. History books are going to tell your kids in 30 years that Zelensky was like Winston Churchill. You know what I'm saying? He saved the world. Zelensky fucking sucks. He sucks. He's a shitty president. He's an actor, quite literally. That doesn't mean that Putin's good. I don't think Putin's good, but I'm not going to read a history book that says Zelensky's going to suck. And I don't want to go to prison because I don't agree with the lies that they're telling now. And if you want people to trust everything in history that you've ever said, why don't you start by telling the truth now? But not telling the truth now, smearing people and censoring people all the time, and then acting like they're psychopaths for literally questioning stuff that you're lying about. It's just like, it's so ridiculous. It's like, you don't have to agree with the outcome, but if you don't ask why people feel this way, it's obvious why people feel this way. Why wouldn't they? Like, they're being lied to so much right now. It's just so obvious, So anybody on any side, that's why I like Tucker Carlson. There's times where I feel like he's being a little sneaky, but when I can feel energy, and I'm going to make people mad again because I'm going to do energy ratings. I'm not telling you to trust these people like they're going to lead you to the promised land or they're your pastor, but I get good energy from all of these people. Elon Musk, don't completely trust him. Don't agree with everything he says. He does some sneaky stuff sometimes. He folds, but he also does some brave stuff. He's doing some weird stuff. He's got government contracts. He's doing the computer chip thing. I'm not asking you to trust Elon Musk, but I'm a good energy reader. I like Elon Musk's energy. I like Elon Musk. I'm not putting a computer chip in my head. I'm not going to drive a Tesla, but I like Elon Musk and I like his energy. And it's real. Tucker Carlson, he's a star. He was the best person on television. They kicked him off for being the realest person on television. I don't care if you don't trust him. He was the realest. Number 2 on television, wasn't close. They kicked him off television. He blew past Joe Rogan. And listen, Tucker Carlson's podcast in the last 3 months, I'm not surprised if it has gotten bigger than Joe Rogan's because he's doing way more consequential interviews. Joe is rich and famous enough to do whatever he wants. He doesn't have to do anything. And perhaps he doesn't want to because it's not fun to get in trouble all the time. I'm guessing Joe Rogan's purposely laying low because it's nice to not get attacked all the time. But in general, the reason that Joe Rogan is super famous for podcasting is he had so many consequential interviews. Now, he's just kind of chilling, doing some cool stuff, doing whatever. It's no big deal. I'm not knocking it. But it's like Tucker's doing the consequential interviews. Every interview Tucker does is a consequential interview. He's putting so much realness out there, and the way he talks and the self-reflection, you could just feel it in his energy. I'm not saying he's not a little sneaky sometimes, but I like Tucker Carlson. He's got great energy. He has self-awareness. He admits his mistakes. He admits he was wrong about the wars, and he does it with conviction that I could feel. When Elon Musk talks about certain things, he's just not lying. Sometimes he lies a little bit, but sometimes he's not lying, and I could tell it. Bobby Kennedy, he's good on every topic except for one, and he acts like a psychopath, which is very bizarre. But when he's in the zone and when he feels what he's saying, you could feel it. There's people that I like, and then there's people that I don't. But to me, even with Trump, like if you listen to Trump and Kamala, I don't like Trump as much as I like Tucker and Elon personally, but Trump's just also older too, and like a little, in his own zone. But when Trump talks about this stuff, he believes what he's saying. Like, I don't think Kamala believes like almost anything she's saying, but Trump, he has that conviction. Like, he might yell and say it a little weird and he could have said it better, but like, I believe that Trump actually believes what he's saying almost all the time. Not all the time, but like maybe like 80 to 90% of the time. Kamala, it's like 5% of the time. Tucker, it's like 95% of the time. Elon, 95%, 90% of the time. Kennedy 90% of the time. The only topic that Kennedy doesn't seem to be authentic on is the topic that must not be named. And, it seems to be a real reason that he's not doing that. But, that's on him. But when he's in the zone, like when Kennedy's going off about the food supply, there's nothing to disagree with. Like, it's just 18 minutes of fact, truth. He doesn't have to do that. And I would say this too. This is a balance because I'm kind of like on the fence of this world in a sense, because I'm in it, but I'm not really in it. And no, let's go. Okay. Anyway, I don't know why it took me off the screen. Sorry, I'm back. That was a weird part to get taken off, but I understand why people think almost everyone's controlled opposition because almost everyone is controlled opposition, in my opinion. Not everyone, but the number is. And I want to say this about controlled opposition because I've studied all this stuff and I've seen, like, I could tell who everybody is. It's not that everyone's getting paid by someone to do what they're doing. They're just playing the game to some extent to get where they need to get, and they know that they're not doing it. But then other people have an ethnic reason for doing it. Some people have a religious reason for doing it. Some people, they're just dumb. Like there's some people are getting paid. Like there's a different dynamic to why everyone's doing it. It's not like everyone's just getting paid, but I get why people don't trust anybody because you shouldn't at this point. Like everybody's being really sneaky and weird. And even my favorite people, like Elon Musk is one of my favorite people. He's super sneaky. I'm not going to lie. He's a little sneaky on some topics. Tucker Carlson, I don't know. I think he's done an excellent job. He's done a few sneaky things, but I think he's killing it. I think Tucker deserves a lot of credit. Trump, he was super sneaky with the vaccine stuff. Like, and he, like I get why people don't trust Trump. But then there's certain people that people try to drag down at weird times where I'm like, I don't understand what you're doing. I'm not asking you to start a movement and run with them, but it's like, why do you hate Tucker Carlson so much now? Like, what is like, I don't even understand. Like, what to the guy who says Tucker's 100% controlled. What do you think his role is though? When he has on Cali Means and they're talking about the health industry and he gives Thomas Massey a platform to talk about APEC. Like, why do you think he's doing that? Like, what's the benefit? Tucker doesn't have to do that. If Tucker never did that, no one would care. No one would notice. No one would demand it. No one would care. Like, why do you think Tucker's 100% controlled? I would say Tucker's like 10% controlled, but you know, someone said he's CIA. So I don't know. Do you think there's no good people in it? Or like, I'm not saying that he is. I know he had family in the government, but like say there's an FBI agent, one of them that works for Democrats, and he's like a total sneak and he's trying to persecute Republicans and Christians all the time. And you're like, that guy sucks. Do you think there's nobody good at that agency? I mean, I'm not saying like, I'm not even saying he is, but it's like, what about what he's doing? Like, do you think he's just playing a role that he's there to tell you what you want to hear and then lead you in the wrong direction? It's possible. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm like, you know, someone said Andrew Tate's 90% controlled. Controlled for what though? Like, what do you think he's doing? What do you think he's controlling people to do? I'm just curious. Like, because even with Candace and stuff, people like freak out. If you don't like Candace or trust Candace, that's on you. If you don't like, I'm not gonna like get mad at you. I don't give a shit. I understand why people don't trust people. But like when people are like, I'm gonna burn your hat because you like Tucker. I like Tucker, but I've also disagreed with him. But he's not doing anything to me. Like, he's not running for president. He's not begging that I listen to him. Also, what Tucker's not doing, he's not smearing other people. You very rarely, if ever, hear Tucker dunk on other people like Sebastian Gorka and Seth Dillon, where they're like, there's people on my side that dunk on people more than Tucker Carlson. So it's like, I like Thomas Massey. Tucker gives them a platform. I like these two people. Tucker gives them a platform. Like, I don't see how, like, what, it could be possible, and I'm not against it, but like, I don't know. I think Elon right now is doing a net positive, but that could change. I think Tucker Carlson is doing net positive. I think Candace Owens has done net positive, but their destiny is their destiny. Their life is their life. I'm not in their camp. I'm just, I just don't understand why people are going so hard. Like, I don't get where people are going with it, but like, that's why I'm just asking, like, what, like what, you said Tucker is a disinformation agent. He's very skilled. All right, shrooming or whatever. What do you think? Because I get what you're saying. What do you think his role is? Like he's doing what? Like he's doing he's telling the truth like 95% of the time, but he's a disinformation agent. What do you think that means? Like, what is his role and his purpose, and why would they want him to do so many things that question so many important narratives? I just want to hear, because the one thing that really irks me about Tucker that makes me believe what you're saying is that people said that he called Trump before COVID and helped convince Trump to lock down. If that's true, that adds up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's doing all these things, but when it really matters, he does it. That's why I stopped liking Trump and trusting Trump, because it's like, you're doing all this, but then you go that way. Now I'm not on the team, But with Tucker, I haven't, but outside of that one part, which is huge, I haven't recently, I haven't really seen it. Someone said real reporters don't exist anymore. I mean, here's the thing though. You say stuff like that, but you're just like scared of doing anything, where it's like, if you really are that scared that you think that they're going to off every real reporter, then go hide in the corner. You don't live in a real country. Everybody's a liar. And what's the point of even watching my show if you believe that? I'm not scared. I'm not a coward. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? I just feel like so no one is real ever. No one. I think like 95% of people are full of shit. And I think some people that aren't full of shit are bad people that I don't want to be around, because they're unloyal and untrustworthy, and they'll turn on you faster than your enemies. Like, I could see who everyone is, but I feel like people online sometimes just dunk so hard on people that don't really, like, I just don't get where you're going with it, where it's like you come to that conclusion where you're like, everybody's bad. All right, then why you, like, if you truly believe that there was no real journalists out there, why even watch my show? What am I then? I like Tucker, but I could see both sides. Um, what does my heart say? I'm telling you, I think Elon Musk has good energy. Tucker has good energy, but they're playing a role. But I don't think it's a bad one necessarily. I like both of them. Trump, I like less, but I think he's better than Kamala. I just like I'll see people there like I think Candace is this and that and this and that, and it's like you think all these things, but like why don't you do something then? You're afraid to? Then don't do it. Then stop talking about everybody else. I don't know. Like you gotta put some stake in the game. Like if you think you could do it so better, so really, then do it. And if you can't, then sit back and try to watch somebody that is. And if you don't think anyone is, then don't watch anyone. Just go watch sports or pick up a hobby, do something useful, farm or something. Like I just don't get where people are going with it. It's my first day here, said Caesar. What's up, Caesar? Welcome to the best show on the internet. I'm just kidding, but thank you. Someone said Tucker has a better truth to fib ratio than Alex Jones, in my opinion. I think so too. I don't hate Alex and I try to be graceful. I treat others the way I want to be treated. So I always try to be as graceful as I can. Tim Pool, I purposely just make fun of, but everyone else, but there's purpose behind that too. Anyway, I don't hate Alex. I don't think Alex Jones, I don't know, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he seems like a nice guy, but I don't trust Alex Jones. And it's not because of why other people don't trust Alex Jones. He is very animated and he's willing to hype stuff up for a headline. He's not right. Like Alex is right about a lot of stuff, but I've seen him so many times purposely mislead in order just to accomplish some sort of viewer thing. And it's during COVID, he was all over the place. He didn't it's just and it's all right, bro. He said it was the deadliest virus ever. He said it's this. He said the vaccine was basically just sugar water and Trump switched the vaccines. It's bro, you're just fucking lying. Alex is cool. He's done a lot of good stuff, but I just stopped listening to him. I like Tucker more than Alex at this point, but Tucker and Alex are going to share a stage, which is hilarious. So I think Alex has done some good stuff, but I lost trust with him by him just going a little too loose with stuff. But he's done some good interviews too, and he has interesting stuff. That's just my preference, but I don't know what his true purpose is or what. But someone said I like Anomaly. I don't like Anomaly's rap. That's okay. It's not for everybody. Anomaly, if you're so courteous, why didn't you go to the border when Biden threatened to lock up journalists at border states? You live in a border state. Why, if I'm so courteous, why didn't I go to the border when Biden threatened to lock up journalists at border states? First of all, are you suggesting that I can't be courteous if I don't go to the border when Biden threatens to lock up border journalists? Is that your logic there? You got to get your IQ up if you want to ask another question. You're suggesting that I'm not courteous if I didn't go to the border. I'm not a border reporter. Jorge Ventura is a border reporter. There's other people that go to the border. Me going to the border has nothing to do with my courteousness, and me going to the border has nothing to do with that. I don't know. That's just it's like a career choice. It's why didn't I go to the DNC? Because I didn't want to. Why didn't I go to the RNC? Because I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to go to Milwaukee or whatever. It's there's nothing to do with my courtesy. It's just I didn't want to go there. I don't just do everything that Biden, I'm not playing opposite day with Biden. He's don't do that. And then I do it. I'm doing what I'm doing. If Biden says don't do what I'm doing and I want to do it, then I'll do it. I'm not going to do it just because he says don't do it. If you go to the border, I'm going to the border now. It's I'm not that guy, dude. I'm not running around trying to get a scene. Some people do that stuff just for clicks, and there's nothing wrong with it. It makes sense, but it's they'll go get punched in the face and locked up just to get some subscribers. It's I'm not out here desperate for attention or stuff. If I feel inspired to go to the border, then I would do it. But the thing is, listen, Jorge Ventura, incredible journalist. Bill Malugan, incredible journalist. I could name all the border guys. They're brave and incredible. I don't want to do that. I mean, I respect it completely. I think they're awesome. And I'm so glad somebody's doing it because I don't want to do it. It's like a doctor, I'm so glad people are doctors, but it's not me. I wouldn't want to work in a room like that, but I'm glad they do. Thank God. Or else, You said courageous. Well, that's one form of courage. It's like you wouldn't talk to like a war pilot and be like, "Why didn't you go down to the border if you're not courageous?" It's like, "Cuz I'm doing something else." Like I'm doing other courageous stuff that like I bet you Bill Malugan sees my streams and it's like he's right about that, but I don't feel like saying it cuz it's not, doesn't make sense for his career. He probably couldn't work at Fox News if he said some things I said, and it's like, but he's courageous himself. It's not a competition, but it's like these border reporters, they do that. I know what's going on at the border and I don't want to be near it personally, but you know, it's the same with like when the riots were happening. All the journalists ran to like Milwaukee or wherever, Minneapolis, to like, and thank God they did, because Kyle Rittenhouse might be in jail if they didn't get that footage. It's nothing. I'm not knocking it. It is courageous. But to me, like, this is just how I was raised by my mama, saying God bless my mom, love her to love her. She didn't raise me to go run to a dangerous area, like just to like document it. It's like, don't go there. Like that's how I was raised. I'll do dangerous stuff when I feel inspired to, but it's like, oh, people are burning down a neighborhood that I don't live in. No, if people start burning down my neighborhood, then it's something, like if I have a conviction to my neighborhood and my neighbors and stuff, but I'm not going to like fly across the country to put myself in some chaotic hellhole. That's just not who I am. It's the same with like January 6th. I was like, why would I fly to DC to march in the street and fly back and wear a pharmaceutical mask? It's just like, I don't know. I get why other people do it, but it's just not who I am as a person. Someone said most influencers are playing a role. Sorry to break it to you guys. If they speak logic, then fine. I could agree with their point. Most people are insane fanboys. I don't know. I mean, everyone can interpret it how you can. If you studied politics for 6, 7, 8 years, then you know a lot of stuff, right? Like there's a lot of stuff I know because I've been paying attention a lot. It's all perception and perspective. I guess just try to treat others the way you want to be treated. I just think that's fair, because some people dish it out and then they're like, oh, if you ever became an influencer and you started doing good and you were being honest, you would have those same people doing it to you and exaggerating and trying to poke holes in it when it wasn't the right place to do it. And you would be like, oh no, I'm one of the real ones. It's like, but you just said there were no real ones. So yeah. It's like, just treat others the way you want to be treated. But yeah, I don't trust most people. I don't want to be friends with most people. It's like, I see exactly who people are. I just think some people, some people are a little overconfident. They think they know what they know, but they don't, they're not really sure about it. I like to speak in certainties. If I want to beat the fake news, if I want to be honest, I have to be honest. I can't be 90% honest and then just be crazy on the topic when I'm wrong. Like that's not what honesty is. That's not what the truth is. That's why with the Haitian stuff, I'm going to need more than just a video on Twitter to report on this stuff. I'm not saying it's not happening. It's just, it's not in my wheelhouse right now. And I don't have the resources to make someone else look at it. It's just like, I like to be very certain about what I'm talking about. Other people, they're a little loose with it. That's fine. But it is what it is. Someone said, come to the Poconos. I actually been there when I was younger. It's beautiful from what I remember. But yeah, Poconos are awesome. Would I ever run for office? No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, it's not something I would want to do. I'd be more interested. Like at this point in my life, I do music. I do this. I'm interested in creating a business outside of this, so I don't have to do it. And it's not to say I wouldn't want to do it, because even right now, I have the luxury of doing it when I want to do it, if I want to. But I'm not like, I haven't built like, I want to basically crush so hard that I could pick and choose all my spots in life and I don't have to do anything. I'm pretty close and I'm kind of there now. Like I could stop for 4 months and I wouldn't go broke or anything. But I'm not really like, I rather than like run for office, I'd rather create a business that was awesome and good for people, that made a lot of money, that opened up my lifestyle, and I didn't have to do politics if I didn't want to. Right now, I don't necessarily have to do it, but it's like, I do like doing it and I'm good at it and I built so much, but I don't know that I want to do this forever. And I've said that a long time. So I don't know. I wouldn't I don't like politics. Even this is like, it's okay. I mean, I'm having fun now, but it's more fun when you can kind of like not have to do it all the time. And I'm not trying to sound ungrateful, but most people, they have a whole team. Like, like Matt Walsh does a documentary. He's working with like 20 people. I do everything by myself. I'm tired of working by myself. So I'm trying to like work with the right people and do it less, and then I'll enjoy it more. But when you have to do it all the time, it becomes a little bit less enjoyable. I'm having fun today, but sometimes I go live and I'm like, I wish I wasn't here. But I also don't want to do a lot of other shit. So it's like I'm not going to complain about it because nothing is easy and everything's weird in this world. Like it's just getting weird. So I'm not gonna knock what I'm doing. Yeah, politics, I would never want to do it. Some people in media, though, I've watched multiple people, they do media and then they just become a politician. And like now they're just a politician, but they're pretending like they're doing it for the right reasons. But it was always like a career move to like launch them into politics. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not for me. It becomes a job after a while. Yeah, but like I'm okay with it. I guess this is what I'm trying to say too is like I working alone, it's not as like it can be fulfilling, but it's the same reason why like during the pandemic, a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's so great that I get to work from home and like I don't have to see people." But after a while, you become like, you're just looking at your cell phone all the time, you're staring at screens. You're not like a real person anymore. Everything's a Zoom call. Like it's not a good way to live. So I've always been somewhat of a loner, like in my 20s and 30s. Like just I've been, I wanted to accomplish things, and if no one around me wanted to do it with me, I would always do it by myself, just out of, I'm not gonna not achieve things in life because nobody's helping me. I'll do it myself. So I'm super grateful for that. But now it's like I've been staring at a screen for 20 years. So, like I don't want to stare at screens all the time. That's why the guy was like, "Oh, your lighting sucks." I don't do this type of lighting anymore because my eyesight was getting all messed up because I have LEDs in my face 7 times a week for 20 hours. So now I use the natural sunlight and I, take a financial hit, but my eyes feel better. So that's where I'm at right now is everything's hard in this world. Nothing's easy. The grass is always greener on the other side. You think you want to do this, but you don't. Like nothing's easy. I'm not stupid. I'm not a diva. I'm not dumb. But that's how I see things. There's got to be a better way, and there's got to be a way I could do this with a couple people, not too many, but the right people, and have it be seamless and fun. Because podcasting is fun, but if I just worked with, I don't need 20 people. If I just worked with the right 2 people, we had the setup, we had everything on lock, and I could do it. That's my goal for next year. I want to scale things, but not scale it by myself and like just be like, oh, let me work by myself in a house for another year. No, no, no. I want to scale it with 2 or 3 people times 10 it, but have fun doing it. I think I don't want to get too carried away on the stream, but I think I'm a pretty likable person. I mean, obviously some people hate me. I could talk about anything and make it interesting. And I'm not like, oh, I could do anything, but like I could talk about sports. I could talk about MMA. Like, and I like talking about that stuff. I would love to sit on a couch with somebody and talk about 20 different things, record it, and then have someone else edit it. That I could do every day. I just sit and talk for an hour. I know a lot of stuff, but now I got to edit it. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to answer. Like I've been just doing so much that I just don't want to do everything anymore. That's where I'm at. So I don't want to stop doing it. I just got to do it with like a different energy, and I will do it. I'm manifesting it. I will do that. I will put myself in that spot, and you might see a better backdrop, better cameras, more content. That's not out of the realm. Like I'm either going to do it right or not do it at all. Someone said Anomaly's a great ball player too. Thank you, Michael. It's all perspective, or it depends who you're talking to or talking with. Because if you're talking to like pro players, then they'll say I'm not good. But I like basketball, I like soccer, I like tennis, I like ping pong, I like volleyball. I think I'm super athletic, and I'm trying to beat some people in sports. I don't care what. I want to beat Vivek Ramaswamy in tennis. I'll beat him in ping pong too. And then I'll get a bunch of articles written about me. They'll say I'm hateful or something. I'll be like, all right, well, I don't think he wanted to lose that. Let me see. Call-ins are scary. Yeah, at this point in my life, I don't want to talk to people like that. Like even messages, like it just be like Twitter to me, and I'm not trying to like hate on it because I do think it's an important platform, but like the comments on Twitter, it's just like people are just nagging all the time. Like even people it's just like I'm just over it. It's not like I can't take the backlash. I just don't like if I don't log into Twitter, I don't exist in Twitter. I kind of like that. I have a lot to gain on Twitter because there's a lot to do there. But it's like, do I really want, like, I'll say something and someone will be, and like, it's like, shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like, why? Why are you doing this? Like, that's just how I feel with Twitter. Like, oh, this is like someone the other day, I said this, but he's like, if you don't share my Freemason documentary right now, you're a piece of shit. And it's like, what are you holding me for ransom, you fucking scumbag? Like, you're gonna say, if I don't share your video, then I'm a bad person? Fuck you, dude. Like, if you were to say, talk about this information because it's valid and important, okay, I'll look at it. But you're like that would be like, fuck you. If you don't share my exact video, then fuck you. It's like, that's almost like it's like holding someone for ransom, trying to desperately get clicks on your content. Yeah. And think about how self-righteous you have to be. Oh, your content's going to change the world. Bro, I got 1 billion views and I don't even think that of myself. I think I've done something. I don't think I did nothing, but it's like, it's deeper than just one of my videos that's going to shift the sands of time of reality. Like, it's not that easy. If it were, we'd win every election by 100%. But it's like, you think that video alone is going to shift the scales of time? It's like, you're a piece of shit. Do I like Juggalo's Anomaly? I wouldn't say I don't like Juggalos. I mean, I think it's an interesting community. Like, people just wilding out, drinking, throwing Fago on themselves. I would love to perform at the Juggalo concert. I don't know, would Juggalos like me? You tell me. I got no beef with Juggalos. It's never been like a thing I've been involved in. But as far as like, I don't know. Do you think Juggalos like Anomaly? Let me know. I know there's a lot. Let's see. I would love to perform at that concert because I know that they don't like a lot of people. So it's a real test. Like, Juggalos, they either love you or they fucking hate you. So, like, if you perform for them, they're a tough crowd in a good way. They'd love me? I think so. I think I get along with the Juggalos. Yeah. Those guys, I never was like a huge Insane Clown Posse fan. Like, they were never like a band that I listened to, but I did think they were hilarious. They were on Loveline with Dr. Drew. And when I was in college, my friend used to always like play Loveline. It was like a radio show or something. What's the guy's name? Let me see. Juggalo leader. What are those names? I'm going to look it up. Hold on. Isn't it Jay or something? Juggalo. It's not even coming up. You guys are censored, bro. Juggalo, insane. Well, hold on. Sorry about that. Why does it not say? They're not even going to tell me who the leaders are. Somebody tell me in the comments. I'm not looking on Wikipedia. What are the names of the Insane Clown Posse? Like, the two guys. It's like, oh, Violent J. Yeah. What's the other guy's name? Anyway, Violent J and the other guy was on Love. Oh, Shaggy 2 Dope. Yeah. All right. They were on, or one of them was on Loveline, and they were just being so funny. And like that was because when I was in high school, people would be like, oh, they're so weird and stuff. And I was like, whatever. And then I heard them on Loveline. I was like, I don't know. They're pretty funny. So people would call in and they'd be like, hey, I'm having a problem. And he'd be like, yo, get over it. Like, just, I don't know. If you could find the Insane Clown Posse episode of Loveline, it's definitely funny. So yeah, you could let the community know that I come in peace. I'm not trying to get Fago thrown at my head. Thank you. Hold on. I'm trying to read. People are arguing with each other on Facebook. Classic arguments. Let's see. They're the realest people you've ever met. All right. Well, no rush, because like, with music, I've accomplished a lot, but this is where I feel like there's going to be a moment where I'm going to shock a lot of people, and they're going to be like, I didn't realize Anomaly was that good. I didn't realize he had the hits in him. So, with the Juggalos, I don't know what y'all are doing, but when it comes for the gathering of the Juggalos, it doesn't have to be now, because maybe it's not the right time. But, when the time is right, tell them to book me for the concert, and, I'll come out with some Fago, some fire rhymes for the outcasts, and we'll get it popping. So, maybe it's in 3 years or something. I drop a few hits, people start to realize, and then, we'll play the Juggalo concert. There's probably so many people there. I know it's like huge. I'd get treated like Tila Tequila. I'm not as bad as Tila Tequila as a performer. So it's definitely would be the hardest concert to play, because they're very picky. Juggalos, they either love you or hate you, but I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready to make them like me. And if they don't, then You know, the reason they didn't like Tila Tequila is because Tila Tequila, like, as a hit, what was she, a rapper or singer? Like, who's cheering for that? The Juggalos were like, nah, we don't like this. You'll put it out there. Appreciate you, Jungle Rumbler. No rush though. Like I said, when the time's right. I'm in a good space right now. Like I'm not desperate. I don't want anything. Like things need to be right, and it's got to be the right time for everybody. I'm not trying to like force myself on somewhere. Even with like people are like, you want to go on Joe Rogan? It's like I would, but at the same time, it is what it is. If it makes sense, if he wanted me there and I wanted to be there, then I'd go there. But I'm not going to be like, I have to be there or else I'll never be successful. It's like, I'm all right. I'm fine. He's fine. Like I don't, at this point in my life, I don't have to talk to anybody and they don't have to talk to me. That's how I feel. Like when people try to force themselves on my show, it's like, relax, guy. And I don't do that to other people. It's like, it's got to be mutual. Let me see. Would I go on Kill Tony? Yeah, for sure. Once again, it would have to be a timing thing. It would have to make sense. Actually, I got a story about Tony. Nothing crazy, but I did the podcast with Roseanne, right? Roseanne doesn't go live on Instagram that much, but when we kick it, we were having fun. We might have puffed a little bit. We might have not. I don't want to get into specifics. We might have been drinking a little bit, but Roseanne was just like, I want to go live on Instagram. And I was like, all right, let's get it. So I went live on Instagram. I put on my sunglasses because the boy was a little faded. But anyway, we were on her Instagram live. It was, I don't know, it was a Tuesday or Wednesday. And then I got invited because my buddy Jake Shields, he knows Joe Rogan, and he was like, do you want to, whatever, I don't know, maybe he was in town or something, and I was like, yo, that would be cool. Anyway, we had a 6th spot at Joe's like comedy thing, and I ended up getting backstage because of Jake, and Tony was backstage, and I met Tony, and he was like, did I just see you somewhere? And I was like, I don't know. And then he was like, did I just see you on Roseanne's live stream? And I was like, yeah, that was me. So he recognized me because he just saw me that day on Roseanne's live stream, which I thought that was crazy because I was like, it's just a weird like moment to happen. But we didn't really talk that much, but he did say that. So I know he knows who I am, but I don't think he gives a fuck about me. I'm pretty sure he's pretty rich and successful. Like that probably wasn't a moment in his life that was like very meaningful. I mean, I'm sure he remembers it, but at the same time, like I don't think I'm at the top of like his, you understand? Like I don't think I'm like a top 20 guest. I think like I would be like a filler if like he needed somebody. Like I think he's got access to everybody. Like I don't think he cares about me that much. Jake is funny. Dude, Jake is awesome. Roseanne's son Jake, he's the man. Roseanne's awesome too. Yeah, Jake's with it. He gets it. Let me see. Tucker's first release when he came back from Fox was kind of weird. I don't know if I seen it. Did I see Elon's tweet to Taylor Swift, or who? Surprise pull of you coming up on KT. Excuse me? I don't know what that means. Jelly rolling to the Juggalo gathering, someone said. Dude, am I gonna like, didn't the feds go after Juggalos? Like, what happened there? The feds were trying to call the Juggalos terrorists or something? Dude, Juggalos got a lot of sway. On the low, there's millions of Juggalos. Like, people don't even know about it, but especially in the South and stuff. Like my homie in West Virginia, because I went to school in West Virginia, but my buddy, he grew up in West Virginia, born and raised. I was just there for a couple years. But he told me in his school, he was like, Juggalos, like, they were like a thing. It was like, you had like crews. I don't want to say gangs, but like, you had like these guys and these guys. And he said like Juggalos were like one of the biggest units at his school. So I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like in some states, people have no idea, but in some of the southern states, it's like the Juggalos are like the biggest force on the ground at the schools and stuff. But I don't know. They don't wear makeup anymore. They're over that stuff. But someone said, I mean, they could do what they want. I don't care. As long as they like my stream, it's cool. Did I see the Swifties for Donald J. Trump movement plot twist? It's not all of them. Something about Taylor Swift concerts, they're creepy to me, and I'm not like, I know there's people watching this that like Taylor Swift. Girls are gonna click the X button now. How dare you? Relax. I didn't say she's terrible. I just said when I see everyone singing to her songs, something about it just feels off to me. I like big shows, right? I love watching like live performances and someone crushing of any genre, right? I'm not a hater. Like even big rap performances, this like I like huge crowds and someone on stage and everyone singing. I like it. It feels good. I'm like, this is awesome. I wish I was there. With Taylor Swift, sorry Swifties, I'm just saying, she's the only person with like a huge crowd that I've ever seen that it just felt weird and creepy. I don't know why, but like watching a bunch of people sing like Cardi B, it's kind of cool. Even though Cardi B, people don't like Cardi B, but like it's just like this is mud. Like I seen her perform in like some country and she's like, this is bloody shoes. And everyone's like going and it's like kind of cool. With Taylor Swift, it's like Romeo, take me somewhere. And all the moms are singing and it's just like screeching harpies. And I'm like, get me out of here. I don't know what it is, but like I'm a musician. I've clearly never done shows like that. I'm not as big as Taylor Swift, but I've done shows. I've seen shows. I've been to festivals. Nothing makes me feel the way that Taylor Swift's music makes me feel when people sing along. It's the only person I've ever seen that I'm legitimately creeped out by. Even like death metal, where they're just screaming crazy things, I don't like it. It's not my favorite genre. I wouldn't want to be there personally. No offense if you like it, but it doesn't give me that feeling. Like they could be like yelling like anti-Christian things, like, and I'm like, oh, it's not for me. But nothing makes me feel the way that Taylor Swift. When everyone's singing to Taylor Swift and like those videos go viral on Twitter, it's so creepy to me and it's so weird and I hate it and I wouldn't want to be there and I just don't like it. But I don't want Swifties to hate me because they're like the biggest continent in the world now and they're crazy. So something about it. I would like, I'm not even like, I'm sorry, I don't want to turn this into a whole like Taylor Swift hate thing, but like I don't even hate Taylor Swift. I think some of her music's okay, especially the songs that Max Martin writes because he writes all the best songs for everybody. But look up his discography. It's incredible. Max Martin, he wrote Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Kelly Clarkson, every like hit song, even like The Weeknd, and like he writes them all. Max Martin, look it up. Anyway, I don't know. Even like Beyonce, I thought Beyonce did a great job at the halftime show. I had no problem with it. A Beyonce concert, it's not that creepy. Taylor Swift concerts are the creepiest. I'm just gonna say. I guess the one song is weird by Beyonce where she's like, "Who runs the world, girls? Who runs the world, girl?" Like that would be weird to see because all the women like, it's like, all right, relax, Tiffany. You just got here. You don't run the world, but whatever. No, she's like, I will soon. I'm gonna vote for Kamala. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. You're right. Anyway, Taylor Swift concerts. You just look up like a bit and like it's all the little girls like Romeo, take me somewhere we feel. Get me out of here. The most like racial thing I've ever seen in my life, since no one asked, but I want to tell the story. I don't know if I've ever said this. All right. Once again, I've seen a lot of things. I used to go to hip hop clubs because I like to dance to hip hop music. I've seen black, white, Hispanic. Like I've seen it all. It's what I'm saying is not racist because I like different ethnic groups dancing, having fun and stuff. I like that. I was on a cruise one time and it was the most segregated thing I've ever seen, which was crazy because I've never seen something segregated like this before. Like any club I've ever been to, whether it's Hispanic music, whether it was like white people music, whether it was black music, whether it was everybody music, whether it was rap or EDM, everybody just usually dances, right? Like together. Like I've been to probably hundreds of clubs and bars and shows. Like every show I've ever been to was just everybody vibing out, right? I've never seen anything like what I saw on this cruise. For whatever reason, there was a DJ on the cruise at the nightclub. And like there were black and white people there and other people, but like it was so segregated. Like it was the funniest shit I've ever seen ever. They played Taylor Swift, that Romeo song, and all the Southern white people and all the white people went on the dance floor and they were singing it. And then they put on some rap song that I haven't heard. I've heard most songs, but I haven't heard this song. And then all the black people went on and started dancing and doing this dance that I've never even seen. Like, I know a lot of the cool dances, the cruise dances, like the trends. I don't know what this one was. Like, only they know. And then the DJ put on a white song, like it was like Creed, I don't know, some shit. And then all the black people sat down, and then the white people got on the dance floor, and then he played a different song, and then all the white people sat down and the black people went back out. And I was like, what the fuck? I've never seen this. I've been to hundreds of shows, rap stuff. I've never seen something so awkward and segregated ever. I don't know what was up with that, but like the cruise just brought out that energy where like all the white people knew certain songs and rocked out. And as soon as he put on some song that the black people wanted to hear, all the white people were like, I'm over this. And then they sat down. And then it was like, and then Taylor Swift came on, and you had all the black dudes like, yo, I'm not dancing to this shit. And then like all the white people, like drunk, like dads came out and started singing with their I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I was, there's one guy, because there's one dude that was like a black dude, but he was like weird. And he came up to us during like karaoke and like sat by me and my mom, and he was like, hey, like he was super, like he was like Wayne Brady type guy. He's like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, relax, dude, we just met, but what's up? He's like, dude, I just love karaoke. And I was like, that's cool, me too, I love karaoke too. And he's like, yeah, dude, it's just like a great time to like sing and hang out, meet people. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, he seems so nice. He's like, dude, I love, like, I was like, this guy's gonna be awesome. And he went up and he was so weird and so bad. And then on the dance floor, there was this other dude from Philly who was definitely like a little more street, and we played basketball together in the tournament, so I knew him, and like we were talking and like rapping some Meek Mill song, and then like the other like Wayne Brady type black guy that was kind of weird, he started like going on the dance floor with his hands and like humping the dance floor, and I was looking at the guy, and he was like, what the hell is that guy doing? And I was like, bro, I don't know. That shit was crazy. That was a crazy cruise. But yeah, he did one of these moves where he was just like on the floor, and I was like, bro, you know we're in public right now, right? Like, what, that dance move appeals to nobody, and everybody thinks you're weird. That was the one thing that brought all the races together. Black, white, Asian, Indian, everyone looked and they're like, that guy's fucking weird. You know, like he's got some problems in the closet. Let's just put it that way. So, you know, that's what can unite us. Everybody can feel the energy of someone who is a little bit odd. Why did I tell that story again? Oh yeah, because Taylor Swift creeps me out. Anyway, he was giving you the Diddy signal. Is that the Diddy? He's just like, oh no, he wasn't doing it to me. He was just like doing it on the dance floor, like thinking he was like killing it, but it was like, bro, that move is not cool or impressive or popular or anything like that. It's none of those things. You guys should have yelled, hey, stop stealing my moves. I did not move like that. Who humped a stage first? Madonna? Is she the first artist to hump a stage? I don't know. Is that real history? I don't think so. I think it started with like Elvis was shaking his hips, and then Madonna humped a stage, and then Cardi B had a wet, you know what, and then no, I don't know the history of like, it all started with Elvis. Elvis started all this stuff. If Elvis walked so Cardi B could run, you know, if Elvis never shook his hips, Cardi B would never be rapping about her vagina. Is that true? I don't know. Yeah, Elvis was awesome for sure. I like Elvis. I'm not trying to hate on him. I just thought it was funny. Anomaly sounds buzzed tonight. I'm actually not buzzed. I'm just happy. When I'm in a good mood, I'm fun. You know, but it's not that I'm like not. Sometimes I get like anxiety, like not like terrible right now, but like if I'm running around and I'm like, oh, I got to do a live stream, but I'm not mentally prepared for the live stream. Do you know how hard it is to be in front of like 1,000 people and then be like, fuck, I was not ready. I don't know, because I'm so used to doing live streams. I just pump them out. But like the other day, I mean, I think it did well. Like the views are doing well. The comments are good for the most part. So like it turned out good, but my energy started off weird because I just like, I wasn't ready at first. It took me like 30 minutes to get in the zone, and I just felt weird yesterday. You know why I felt weird yesterday? I didn't eat all day, and I just drank too much coffee, and I should have ate before. Today I ate before. It's something that simple. Yeah, but the live stream yesterday, I almost took it down because I thought I was being weird, but it has 72,000 views on YouTube, and it might delete my YouTube channel. It might get my YouTube channel deleted, but if not, it's still. I don't want to jinx it, but it's still monetized. It's got 72,000 views. Shit, might have to eat some steak tonight with all that money. But anyway, thank you, Robin. I appreciate you. Someone said fat gays are the future. Are you trying to say fat guys are the future or fat gays are the future? Because those are two similar things, but a little different. Announce yourself. Are you talking about the gays or the guys? Be clear. Be clear with your homophobia, okay? If you're going to come on here with your fatophobia and your homophobia, make sure it's not a typo, okay? It's a serious show. That was fire, live, hard-hitting stuff. I mean, yesterday I meant what I said, so I didn't delete it because I was like, I meant everything I said. It's like, I don't know what it's like to go on an apology tour. Like, you see these people, like, I don't want to name names, but they go on these, like, apology tours, and it's like, I don't know. Like, there's things I'm sorry about. I could give you a list of things I'm sorry about. Yesterday's live stream, that's not one of them. Like, I don't I'm actually not sorry at all for that. So I don't know what it's like to apologize for things I'm not sorry for. I have no problem apologizing, but I can't like lie and be like, I'm sorry. I told the truth that one time and you got mad at me because you have no power. But it's like, nah, I'll pass. But it's slobophobia. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Lizzophobia. Dude, Lizzo's been working out, crushing. I like Lizzo. I'm not like the biggest fan, but like I've said this on my live streams before, and I mean it not rudely. I liked that she was like crushing when she was fat because like this is gonna sound mean, but like how RFK used to say like nobody used to be really that fat, and he said in his speech like when they were really fat they would join the circus or something, or like you'd only see a fat guy at the circus. There's a reason for that because it was like, whoa, that's cool, or like people are like, whoa, that guy's weird, that guy's cool, that's interesting. Like people like it. I'm not saying that's what this is. But like when Lizzo performs, I was like, dude, she's jumping, she's singing, she's dancing, she's playing the flute. That's incredible. She's a great stage performer, and being that fat makes it even more interesting. Like I wasn't like health-wise, I'm glad she's working out, but like entertainment-wise, am I going to sit here and be like she's not moving well? And then the liberals would be like, well, that proves that she's in good shape. Not really. I mean, it proves she has good cardio and she's a great performer, and that's awesome. But, also, probably not the healthiest thing, but, it is what it is. Yeah, I liked Fat Lizzo. I thought she was a great stage performer. She dances, she sings, she jumps around. And then you're like, how do you do that? It's like you see Simone Biles do a bunch of backflips and you're like, whatever, I mean, most people don't say whatever. They're like, wow, that's incredible. She keeps winning gold medals. But I'm like, yeah, I've seen that before. I get it. You flip, you do that. That's cool. But when you see like a fat guy on Instagram doing backflips, like he's like a ninja and he's just doing backflips, like, isn't that even cooler where you're like, holy shit, how did that fat guy do so many backflips? So there's something with like fat people doing athletic things that is incredible. Cause it's like it's like Muggsy Bogues, he wasn't fat, but he was really small. It's like, how is he in the NBA? He can dunk, he can dribble. Like, dude, Muggsy Bogues was the man. If Muggsy Bogues was normal size, no one would have cared that much. But because he was so small, it's like, how is he doing this? Something about being really fat or really small or really tall, it just makes you interesting. Like if you're doing something that you're not. Jeremy Lin, like he was Asian, that was cool. Like, are we going to pretend like that wasn't cool? He's like Asian American, and he was just like killing it on the Knicks. Like, dude, that was awesome. If he was white, it would have been like, all right, cool. If he was black, it would have been like, cool. But he was Asian. You're like, what? He's putting up 30 points and hitting like game-winning threes. Dude, the Jeremy Lin streak on the Knicks was the greatest thing. Dude, it made people wanted to be Asian that month. They were like, I want to be like Jeremy Lin. I watched a Jeremy Lin documentary, and he said that he used to pray at night. He's Christian. He used to pray at night to be taller and try to stretch himself out. And he ended up being pretty tall, like 6'3" or something. Dude, how do you not like Jeremy Lin? If you don't like Jeremy Lin, you hate yourself. He also was talking shit to like Marcus Camby or somebody. Somebody was saying that his hairstyles were black And he was like, oh, you just want to be black. All your hairstyles are like black guy hairstyles. And Jeremy Lin, he gave the greatest retort I've ever seen. I don't remember if it was Camby or some other Knicks player, but it was a black player saying, oh, you got black haircuts. And Jeremy Lin was like, respectfully, I was a big fan. I had your posters on my wall. I always liked you. And he's like, some people, they emulate styles that they like from other cultures. He's like you have Chinese scripture on your back. And I was like, oh, and dude, he pointed out that this basketball player had a Chinese tattoo all down his back. And he's like, yeah, we all emulate cultures. He's like, I like my hair like this. You have that Chinese tattoo on you. And I was like, dude, he just 10-7'd like knockout but without even being rude, just being so respectful and being like, listen, we all do it and you do too. And like, bro, how are you gonna make fun of an Asian guy for having black stuff when you got Chinese tattoo? Like, you didn't know you had a Chinese tattoo? Like, you should have thought that through before you said that. But that was like one of my favorite things. Let me look up who it was. Jeremy Lin response to Asian tattoo black. Who was it? Oh, it's Kenyon Martin. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna read the official thing. Sorry, we're going over Jeremy Lin history now. It's important. They're gonna try to cover this up. I want to read his official response. Hold on one second. Okay, here it is. Ready? I'm gonna read it. He said, hey man, it's all good. You don't have to like my hair and definitely entitled to your opinion. Actually, I legit grateful you're sharing it, to be honest. At the end of the day, I appreciate that I have dreads and you have Chinese tattoos because I think it's a sign of respect. And I think as minorities, the more we appreciate each other's culture, the more we influence mainstream society. Thanks for everything you did for the Nets and hoops. Had your poster on my wall growing up. Like, he said it so nicely. He's like, I appreciate that I have dreads and you have Chinese tattoos. That's so good. I love it. Anyway. Yeah. Same with like, dude, I'm gonna end this stream because 3 hours is psychotic. But what's his name? Tyreek Hill got pulled over going like 100 miles an hour or something. And then like he's trying to act like he's Martin Luther King now, and everyone's like, bro, you were just being disrespectful. And then I guess the police officers were like, bro, we're black or whatever. Or they're like, we're colored people too, or people of color. Sorry, whatever they call themselves. Like, he was trying to like play the race card or something. They're like, bro, we're all minorities here. Like, that doesn't work with us. And then they're still trying to act like he had some crazy disservice to him. I haven't watched it all, but it's like he's probably going fast being a dick. And now he's like, he's MLK. It's like, bro, come on, dude. You're rich. You're famous. You're getting away with it because you're rich and famous. Enjoy it, bro. You're the fucking man. You're the mayor of Miami. Like, you're good. You don't got to act like you're fucking Fred Hampton on a campus or something. Like, you're not doing nothing revolutionary. You sped. You were a dick. It is what it is. You did or didn't get a ticket. It's not that crazy. Like, anyway, how do I have so much energy at this time of night? I don't know. I work out, cardio. Appreciate you guys. I don't want to go 3 hours. It just seems disrespectful to, Madam Kamala and former President Trump. That's my opinion on way more than just the debate. But, hopefully you enjoyed that live stream. Who do I have against O'Malley and Merab? I want Sean O'Malley to win, but I don't know. It's going to be a tough fight. I'm gonna say O'Malley, but I don't feel confident about it. But it's even fight. Should be an interesting fight card. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. And if you want to support, I don't know, check out dreamrare.com and get yourself a beanie for the winter. Someone complained recently and he said, yo, this beanie, like, it's too hot. So I just need to put out a disclaimer out there for all the special people here. If the beanie's too hot, take it off. It's hot in my house, right? Like, it's like, yo, this long sleeve's too hot. Well, I could also take it off and have a no sleeve shirt on. So yeah, if you get too hot in the Dream Rare beanies or the God Bless beanies, you just got to take it off. So it's beanies are good for either if you're Tim Pool and you're trying to constantly hide your head, or if you're if it's cold outside, it's good to keep your head hot. But yeah, if it gets hot, it's time to take it off. Just a disclaimer. I do that myself. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one and good luck out there. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stay in touch with